Chapter 3287. The two ancient words seemed to have been imprinted on a transparent scroll. It twisted slightly in the void and emitted a mysterious light. At the same time, the two words intertwined with terrifying saber and sword will. It contained an aura of destruction that seemed to be able to destroy all life. At this moment, Ba Dao's forehead suddenly shone with a brilliant light. A black saber light soared into the sky and flew towards the two words. "Is the forbidden saber?" Someone exclaimed in surprise. Ba Dao cultivated the Avicii infernal demon's burial saber. It was a forbidden saber, a legendary saber technique left behind by a transcendent. Its power was unparalleled. No one had expected that the taboo blade would be drawn by the two ancient characters at this moment. Boom! Ba Dao was not the only one. The ninth prince of the immortal tribe also had a dazzling saber light fly out from his forehead. It was surrounded by endless immortal light, looking mysterious and ethereal as it flew into the two words. The fourth form of the forbidden saber, the Avicii infernal demon's burial saber, is in Hong Tian's hands? Someone stared at the ninth prince of the immortal tribe and asked. His eyes were filled with a blazing glow. Of the four forms of the forbidden saber, one was in the hands of Ba Dao, two were in the hands of Ling Xiao, and the fourth was extremely mysterious. It was a saber that severed one's origin. No one expected it to fall into Hong Tian's hands. Rumble! In the distance, Gu Tongtian's body suddenly emitted a dazzling light. A sword light rose, causing the void to tremble and the clouds to change. At the same time, Tathagata and Dugu Chiobai's glabella burst with a powerful sword will. The sword will gushed out in a mighty manner, clashing with the taboo blade. It was not much weaker than the taboo blade. This is the legendary forbidden saber? Everyone was in an uproar. Their eyes were filled with shock. The forbidden saber was even more mysterious than the forbidden sword. Over the past few eras, every time the Eternal Emperor Road opened, someone would obtain the forbidden saber's legacy. However, the forbidden saber only existed in legends. It was said that only in the ancient era did someone obtain the forbidden saber. As for what the forbidden saber was, no one knew. Sword of heavenly Tao, sword of earth, sword of human Tao. The ninth prince of the immortal tribe, Hong Tian's eyes shone brightly as he muttered to himself. Gu Tongtian obtained the sword of the heavenly law. Tathagata obtained the sword of Taoism. Dugu Chiobai obtained the human Tao sword. Although the three supreme sword techniques only existed in legends, they were not a secret to the immortals who had gone through 108 eras. Hong Tian also wanted to search for the inheritance of the taboo sword, but he didn't have any clues. The taboo sword was the same as the taboo blade. They were both left behind by a transcendent being, so they were faintly discernible and traceless. There were no clues that could be found, and only those who were fated could obtain them. Could it be that only those who have obtained the taboo blade and taboo sword are qualified to fight for the secret of transcendence? A trial taker asked, his eyes filled with unwillingness. If that was the case, then with so many trial takers here, they would have to return empty-handed. I don't think so. The taboo saber and taboo sword can reveal the secret of transcendence, but as for who can obtain the secret of transcendence, that will depend on our own methods. A powerful trial taker said confidently. His eyes were filled with a strong fighting spirit. Rumble! 2 taboo blades and 3 taboo swords. 5 dazzling rays of light soared into the sky and fused into the 2 ancient characters of transcendence. The 2 ancient characters shone brightly and trembled slightly. In an instant, they turned into a scroll that traversed hundreds of millions of miles in the void. It looked extremely mysterious. On the scroll, there seemed to be the roars of chaotic fiend gods, the conquering of supreme emperors, the living beings of all worlds, the scene of a chaotic world being created, and the evolution of the great Tao. The divine sound of the great Tao spread out from the scroll, and an extremely mysterious aura filled the world. Everyone couldn't help but feel energized. 5 dazzling pillars of light descended from the sky, enveloping Ba Dao, Hong Tian, Gu Tongtian, Dugu Chiobai, and Tathagata. It was as if they were describing some kind of mystery. Oh no! We can't let them monopolize the secret of transcendence. Kill them. A trial taker's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He roared and charged toward Ba Dao and the others. At this moment, all the trial takers and sky prides began to go crazy. The secret of transcendence, the legendary secret of transcendence and immortality, was enough to drive all of them crazy. Naturally, they weren't willing to give up the secret of transcendence just like that. Rumble. Powerful attacks rained down like a storm, trying to kill Ba Dao and the others. Even Zhao Ritian, Sakura, and the others stopped their battle and rushed toward the scroll. On this mountain, a chaotic battle instantly broke out. At this moment, in the endless black mist, Ling Xiao was surrounded by creepy living beings with terrifying auras. They were fighting a bloody battle. Those creepy living beings were extremely powerful. Almost all of them who were able to come here and covet the secret of transcendence had a cultivation comparable to the Imperial Emperor realm. They were like primordial beasts that rampaged around, unleashing powerful killing techniques that constantly attacked Ling Xiao's vital points. Ling Xiao, who was originally furious and filled with murderous intent, had completely calmed down. The raging power of qi and blood around him slowly withdrew, and his aura became dark and strange. The wordless heavenly book flew out from between his eyebrows and kept devouring the creepy black mist around him. It turned into a dark energy that enveloped Ling Xiao. The strange creatures that were originally going to fight Ling Xiao to the death all had extremely confused looks in their eyes. It was as if Ling Xiao had become a little different at this moment. It was an aura that was similar to theirs, and they couldn't tell what kind of existence Ling Xiao was. When the dark energy on Ling Xiao's body became denser and denser, as if he had become one with the black mist, the creepy living beings around him stopped their battle at the same time. They glanced at Ling Xiao suspiciously and began to fly away. The wordless heavenly book can indeed devour the dark energy and disguise me as a creepy living being. Ling Xiao muttered to himself. There was a look of understanding in his eyes. The wordless heavenly book was a chaotic treasure. Ever since Ling Xiao obtained it, it had never disappointed him. After receiving the support of the wordless heavenly book, Ling Xiao could use the sky-devouring secret skill to devour everything. The dark energy of the dark world was naturally nothing to him. Ling Xiao was actually able to block Sakura's punch and shift to the top of the Golden Mountain. However, Ling Xiao chose to beat Sakura at his own game. He wanted to see if the person behind the scenes would appear in this battle for the secret of transcendence. That's right, it was the person behind the scenes. Ever since he entered the realm of nothingness and the dark world, Ling Xiao's feeling of being spied on grew stronger and stronger. In the beginning, he thought it was Culpa Lord Bushuan Wushuang. However, after Bushuan Wushuang's death, he realized that the feeling of being spied on did not disappear. It was as if there was a pair of eyes hidden behind the scenes, watching everyone's every move. Ling Xiao simply chose to enter the black mist and fight with the creepy living beings. He wanted to avoid being spied on by the person behind the scenes. Moreover, the wordless heavenly book did not disappoint him. Not only could it devour the dark energy, but it could also disguise his aura and make him look exactly the same as those creepy living beings. Those creepy living beings seemed to be lacking in intelligence as they could not tell the difference between Ling Xiao and their own kind. If there is really a person behind the scenes, he must be after the secret of transcendence. Will the weapon spirit of the wordless heavenly book appear? Ling Xiao thought to himself as a bright light flashed in his eyes. The weapon spirit of the wordless heavenly book had always been the biggest shadow in his heart. However, if the weapon spirit of the wordless heavenly book was really as evil and powerful as the evil spirit had said, it would definitely appear before Ling Xiao attained Dao and became an emperor. It was also doubtful that the weapon spirit of the wordless heavenly book would appear to fight for the secret of transcendence. Ling Xiao was extremely cautious. The closer he was to the great emperor realm, the more reverent he felt. The strength of a great emperor was beyond everyone's imagination. On the other hand, the path that Ling Xiao took to unify all Daos into one was filled with difficulties and obstacles. Buzz. A mysterious light bloomed in Ling Xiao's eyes. It looked majestic, mysterious and ancient as if it could see through everything. The eye of the ruler was activated by Ling Xiao. Everything on the Golden Mountain fell into Ling Zhao's eyes. The secret of transcendence has appeared? Great. This way, the person behind the scenes can't wait any longer, right? Ling Zhao muttered to himself. His expression was extremely calm, as if he was not moved by the appearance of the secret of transcendence. On the Golden Mountain, the battle between the trial challengers was extremely intense. The trial challengers were constantly being killed, and their blood splattered across the sky as they died. For the secret of transcendence, everyone had gone completely crazy. The smell of blood that permeated the Golden Mountain caused the surrounding black fog to surge even more violently. Those strange life forms also emitted earth-shaking roars of anger. The black mist seemed like it would explode at any time and completely engulf the Golden Mountain. Rumble. Suddenly, 4 incomparably powerful auras appeared silently in the void. They were Princess Luluo, His Highness Great-Grandson, Bushuan Wushuang, and the Chaos Saint. The secret of transcendence has appeared. I'll go and retrieve it. I'll leave them to you. Luo said indifferently. Her gaze landed on the ancient and huge scroll. Her expression was indifferent and deep. She did not even glance at the people below, as if she did not care about them at all. Yes, Princess Luo, His Highness Great-Grandson, Bushuan Wushuang, and the Chaos Saint all bowed. The appearance of these 4 people immediately caused the expressions of many trial challengers to change. Luo, in particular, stepped into the sky as if there was no one around her. Step by step, she walked toward the Transcendence Scroll. How dare you? Stop them. How dare you try to pick a fight at this time? You're courting death. The trial challengers were furious and attacked one after another. It's you? The 9th Prince of the Immortals' eyes revealed a hint of surprise as he glanced at the Crown Prince. It's me. Long time no see, Royal Uncle. His Highness Great-Grandson smiled indifferently. However, his smile was very cold and filled with a trace of killing intent. You've become a robber. What a disappointment. 9th Prince Hong Tian said indifferently. Hee, the winner takes all. So what if I'm a robber? You don't know what this place is. Royal Uncle, are you going to leave by yourself, or do you want me to kill you? His Highness Great-Grandson licked his lips. His eyes were filled with bloodthirsty killing intent. Kill me? That's right. You've never dared to say such things to me before. I'm curious where your confidence comes from. 9th Prince Hong Tian said with a smile. Is that so? You'll find out soon enough. His Highness Great-Grandson's eyes became indifferent again. He exuded a lofty attitude. The secret of transcendence isn't something you can get your hands on. I'll give you a piece of advice. Leave now and you can live. Otherwise, you'll all die. His Highness Great-Grandson said coldly. Arrogant. You're courting death. Everyone was instantly enraged. Each and every one of them was raring to go, wanting to attack. Bushuan Wushuang and the Primal Chaos Saint stood beside him. The aura of the 3 of them was unfathomable. It was like a huge wall, blocking all the challengers in front of them. Bushuan Wushuang, you're still alive? Zhao Ritian and Darkness Lingxiao were shocked. They recognized Bushuan Wushuang. And you, Qin Wuji, you've also become a robber? What a disappointment. Zhao Ritian stared at the Primal Chaos Saint and said. His eyes were filled with disappointment. The Primal Chaos Saint could also be called the Limitless Saint. His real name was Qin Wuji, and he was the successor of the Primal Chaos Temple. Zhao Ritian had not expected him to enter the Eternal Emperor's Road and become a robber. Brother Ritian, you don't understand. His Highness Great-Grandson is right. You should leave quickly. You might be able to keep your lives. Otherwise, I won't be able to save you later. The Primal Chaos Saint shook his head. His eyes were filled with complicated emotions. How foolish. His Highness Great-Grandson sneered. He looked at them as if they were ants. Rumble. He waved his sleeves and suddenly, as if covering the sky and the sun, a vast and mighty force pressed down, shattering the attacks of the many trial challengers. A few of the weaker trial takers actually trembled violently and exploded into a bloody mist in the void. Since you want to die, stay here. His Highness great-grandson said indifferently. His words were like thunder, causing the void to rumble. Rumble! An incomparably mysterious and terrifying aura burst out. It was vast and mighty. In an instant, it covered the heavenly energy above the golden mountain. The surrounding black mist surged like a ferocious tiger out of its cage. Without the restraint of the heavenly energy, it rushed towards the golden mountain in a frenzy. The strange creatures appeared one by one, exuding a terrifying murderous aura as they pounced on the trial takers. What? Not good! Someone exclaimed. His eyes were filled with disbelief. They had never imagined that these 4 mysterious robbers would be able to destroy the protective barrier formed by the heavenly Tao's origin. That's insane. That's insane. Those strange creatures are extremely powerful. Aren't they afraid of dying here? However, the trial challengers soon realized that the strange creatures were not attacking His Highness great-grandson and the others. Instead, they were charging towards them. A bloody massacre broke out in an instant. Chapter 3288. Rumble. The black mist surged and covered the golden mountain completely. Without the barrier formed by the heavenly way, the strange creatures were like cats that had seen a fish. They began a bloody pursuit of the trial challengers. The trial challengers who could enter the dark world were all peerless geniuses. Their strength was unfathomable. If they fought alone, they wouldn't necessarily be weaker than the strange creatures. However, the number of strange creatures was too terrifying. Usually, there would be dozens or even hundreds of strange creatures chasing after a trial challenger. Even though the trial challenger's strength was terrifying, they still died in the hands of the strange creatures. Before they died, they let out angry roars of unwillingness and despair. In this chaotic situation, Princess Luo Luo quickly approached the Transcendent Scroll and reached out to grab it. Seeing this scene, everyone's eyes widened. That was the secret of transcendence. It contained the greatest secret of transcendence in all the worlds for 108 eras. Was it going to fall into the hands of the robbers? At this moment, even Sakura and Tathagata started to become furious. Rumble. However, just as Princess Luo Luo's hand touched the Transcendent Scroll, it instantly emitted a bright light. Endless light spewed out. It contained a mysterious, ancient, and majestic fluctuation. A strong repulsive force came from the Transcendent Scroll and pushed Princess Luo Luo away. The Transcendent Scroll trembled slightly and released a bright light. It was as if it was going to turn into a stream of light and escape. Want to leave? Stay here. Princess Luo Luo's eyes flashed sharply. In an instant, she slammed her palm down. Rumble. A mysterious light bloomed from her palm. The light of reincarnation spread out like a devouring vortex. It was as if it was going to pull everything into reincarnation. At this moment, the Transcendent Scroll couldn't help but tremble slightly as it struggled to fly toward her. Luo Luo. Ling Xiao, who was hidden in the black mist, trembled. His eyes revealed a trace of disbelief. Luo Luo actually appeared here. It's the aura of the robbers. Wushu and Wushuang really didn't die. Those two are the Crown Prince and the Wuji Saint? You didn't expect them to all be robbers? Ling Zhao's eyes burned as he thought to himself. It turned out that the 4 of them were the ones hiding behind the scenes. However, Ling Xiao faintly felt that something was wrong. The 4 robbers, Luo Luo, Wushu and Wushuang, His Highness great-grandson, and the Wuji Saint, chose to fight for the secret of transcendence at this time. It was as if there was an invisible hand behind them that was controlling their every move. The person behind the scenes might be even more terrifying than Ling Xiao had imagined. Ling Xiao didn't have much time to think because Luo Luo was about to grab the Transcendent Scroll. Boom! Ling Zhao's entire being was like a brilliant pillar of light that connected the heavens and the earth. In an instant, he shot up from the black fog at an extremely fast speed. He soared through the air and grabbed at the Transcendent Scroll. Ling Xiao. Zhao Ritian shuddered all of a sudden. His eyes were sharp and his hands were agile. He immediately realized that it was Ling Xiao. His eyes were filled with excitement. Sure enough, good people don't live long, but scourges live for 1,000 years. This bastard Ling Xiao is indeed not a short-lived person. He made me worry for nothing. Boom. Lu Luo seemed to have noticed Ling Xiao as well. Her eyes were incomparably cold as she threw a palm strike at Ling Xiao. Vast and mighty emperor's aura erupted. This palm strike was like a great emperor suppressing the heavens. It contained an unparalleled divine aura. Lu Luo attacked Ling Xiao without hesitation as if she didn't know him at all. Great emperor? No, she only possesses the combat strength of a great emperor to a certain extent. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. He also threw a punch at Luo Luo without hesitation. The unparalleled chaotic fist print was extremely ferocious and domineering. It was as if it was going to split the heavens and earth apart. It flew across the air and collided with Luo Luo. The illusory image of the three realms appeared behind Ling Xiao, causing his aura to become extremely terrifying in an instant. Luo's palm strike was shattered by his punch. An extremely powerful force erupted. Ling Xiao had actually forced Luo Luo back with a punch. Buzz. At the same time, the Transcendence Scroll fell into Ling Xiao's palm. The Transcendence Scroll shone brightly. It struggled violently as if it wanted to break free from Ling Xiao's control. However, it was tightly held in Ling Xiao's hand. It couldn't break free at all. Lu Luo, long time no see. Ling Xiao held the Super Scroll and smiled indifferently at Luo Luo. Ling Xiao, hand over the Transcendence Scroll. Luo Luo said indifferently. She looked at Ling Xiao as if she was looking at a stranger. There wasn't the slightest fluctuation in her emotions. It seems like you really don't recognize me. I'm very curious. Where did you come from? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Hand over the Transcendence Scroll or die. Luo Luo said coldly. There was a trace of murderous intent in her eyes. Rumble. At the same time, the ninth Prince Hong Tian, Gu Tong Tian, Tathagata, and Sakra released an incomparably terrifying aura from their bodies. They locked onto Ling Xiao. They had crossed the heavens and killed many strange creatures. Finally, they broke free from the encirclement and wanted to fight for the secret of transcendence. Ling Xiao, how about we join forces and kill these robbers first? You should know that we are the same kind of people. We can comprehend the secret of transcendence together. The ninth Prince Hong Tian smiled indifferently at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, don't listen to him. You and I are both of the God Clan. We should join forces and kill all of them. Gu Tong Tian said coldly. The sword aura around him rose as if it could destroy everything. Ling Xiao, hand over the Transcendence Scroll. You're just a forsaken person. You want to comprehend the secret of transcendence? You don't know the meaning of death. Sakra sneered. Tathagata said the name of Buddha softly. Although he didn't say much, there was a smile at the corner of his mouth. He gave Ling Xiao a meaningful look. Without exception, they all wanted to rope Ling Xiao in and obtain the Transcendence Scroll. Ling Xiao could even feel that the strange creatures around him also wanted the Transcendence Scroll. It was as if the Transcendence Scroll was a fatal temptation to them. Cut the crap. The Transcendence Scroll is in my hands. If you want the Transcendence Scroll, let's see if you have the ability to do so. Ling Xiao smiled indifferently. In an instant, his eyes revealed a soaring desire to fight. Rumble. Qi and blood rose around him. His body was indestructible. He was like an indomitable chaotic divine demon that supported the celestial emperor. Bright stars lit up behind him. His entire body exuded a vast heavenly might that was similar to the heavenly way's origin. His aura soared to the extreme. He released his aura without holding back. The surrounding black mist distorted as if it didn't dare to come close to him. You are indeed the chosen successor of the textless heavenly book. However, if you don't hand over the Transcendence Scroll, even the textless heavenly book can't save you. Luo Luo said indifferently. In an instant, monstrous murderous intent exploded from her eyes. Rumble. It was like an incomparably terrifying sea of blood. It was also like the Azura hell that was filled with death and slaughter. An incomparably terrifying spiritual storm rushed toward Ling Xiao. Lolua's petite body contained a power that could destroy the heavens and the earth. She stepped into the void like an emperor descending upon the mortal world. Vast and mighty emperor's aura erupted and suppressed Ling Xiao. Kill! Ling Xiao roared. His eyes were filled with a soaring desire to fight as he charged toward Luoluo. The transcendent scroll in his hand was dazzling. It was mysterious and profound. However, it couldn't be opened. Only by absorbing the blood and life of an ultimate expert could the Transcendence Scroll be opened. In other words, the secret of transcendence was destined to fall into the hands of the ultimate expert. Therefore, after Luoluo and Ling Xiao touched the Transcendent Scroll, they immediately understood. Only by devouring the lives of countless trial takers could the secret of transcendence be opened. Rumble! Ling Xiao and Luoluo's fists collided. It was like a hurricane that swept across the heavens and the earth. In an instant, it swept out in all directions. Several strange creatures that wanted to get close to them were destroyed and instantly exploded into a bloody mist. Both of them trembled and retreated at the same time. Ling Xiao, hand over the Transcendent Scroll. Sakura roared angrily. Murderous intent boiled in his eyes. Chaotic divine light bloomed in his palm and turned into an ancient heavenly halberd that slashed toward Ling Xiao. His body was dazzling. His divine might was unparalleled. With the heavenly halberd in his hand, he looked like a chaotic divine demon that wanted to split the heavens and the earth. His power was terrifying to the extreme. Ling Xiao, if you don't hand over the Transcendent Scroll, you'll be everyone's enemy. The ninth Prince Hong Tian said indifferently. He also charged toward Ling Xiao. Dazzling immortal light bloomed around him. Beams of light were like the Milky Way that flowed backward, wrapping around Ling Xiao's body. His attack appeared to be rather relaxed, but the frightening killing intent contained within it caused everyone's scalp to turn numb. Tathagata and Gu Tongtian both began to charge toward Ling Xiao. In an instant, Ling Xiao seemed to have become everyone's enemy. When everyone saw the Transcendent Scroll in his hand, they seemed to have gone completely crazy and charged toward him. In addition to the many trial challengers, Bushuan Wushuang, His Highness great-grandson, and the chaotic saint also looked indifferent. They gave up on fighting with their opponents and charged toward Ling Xiao. The black mist boiled, and those strange creatures revealed their true forms. They were all strangely shaped primitive ferocious beasts. Each of them had heaven-defying strength. They spat out dark light beams and charged toward Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao became everyone's target. Bushuan Wushuang, your opponent is me. Dark Ling Xiao sneered and threw out a punch towards Bushuan Wushuang. Chaotic demonic light rose around him. The ancient gauntlet on his hand bloomed with peerless murderous intent and locked onto Bushuan Wushuang. Infinite demonic armor? Hand it over. Bushuan Wushuang's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He also had a gauntlet on his hand, which seemed to be of the same origin as Dark Ling Xiao. He immediately gave up on Ling Xiao and turned to attack Dark Ling Xiao. To him, the infinite demonic armor was more valuable than the Transcendent Scroll. He seemed to have sensed the same kind of aura from Dark Ling Xiao. This made his murderous intent boil. Ling Xiao, I'm here to help you. Zhao Ritian roared. Golden light blazed around him as the Heavenly Emperor's fist swept across the surroundings. It was as if he had been reborn. His aura was extremely terrifying. Sword chi rose around Duguqiubai. Rays of sword light broke through the universe and charged toward the many powerful trial challengers. Ji Feishuan Ba Dao, Old Goat, Taoist Wuliang, Yap Liangchen, White Dragon Horse, Kunping, and the others also charged toward Ling Xiao. Although they were not weak, they were still too weak compared to the Sakura, the trial challengers, and the strange creatures. Other than Dark Ling Xiao, Zhao Ritian, Duguqiubai, and Ji Feishuan, who were stronger and were able to stop the chaotic saint, His Highness great-grandson, and the others, they were soon drowned by the strange creatures. Ling Xiao was still the enemy of the entire world. Looking around, the figures with terrifying auras were all peerless geniuses. They were all invincible sky prides who had fought their way out of mountains of corpses and seas of blood. If you want the secret of transcendence, you'll have to exchange it with your life. Ling Xiao roared. His murderous intent boiled around him. His aura was extremely terrifying. His fist was like a dragon. The auras of the epic in creation seemed to have merged together to form an extremely powerful fist print. It pressed down on the Sakura with great force. At this moment, Ling Zhao's aura was like an erupting volcano. It skyrocketed countless times in an instant. The wordless heavenly book in his sea of consciousness, the good fortune jade disc in his heart, and even the primordial pearl in his Dantian sea of qi all shone with boundless light at this moment. They were all connected to each other, providing Ling Zhao with limitless energy. Boom! Sakura's primal chaos fist imprint shattered with a loud bang. His entire body shook violently, and his arm completely lost all feeling as Ling Zhao's fist landed on his chest. Puff! Di Shitian suddenly spurted out a mouthful of blood, and his entire person flew out. What? How could your strength become so strong? The Sakura's eyes were filled with disbelief and horror. When he fought with Ling Zhao previously, Ling Zhao wasn't so terrifying. Now, he couldn't even take a punch from Ling Zhao? He was extremely shocked. However, he didn't notice that the blood he spat out was silently absorbed by the Transcendent Scroll. Rumble! Ling Zhao's face was majestic. The lightning around him was dazzling. He seemed to be too lazy to answer the Sakura's question. He pulled his palms together and the blazing lightning condensed into a purple sword qi. It swept across hundreds of millions of miles and swept across. A few powerful strange creatures were annihilated by the sword qi and turned into ashes. Swoosh! Ling Zhao stepped on the void. His black hair fluttered in the air. Wrapped in a monstrous momentum, he pointed a finger. The finger light was dazzling as if it was real. In an instant, it collided with Tathagata's huge palm print. The endless Buddha's light was shattered. The immortal Buddha's golden body that enveloped Tathagata was shattered. Tathagata was also shocked. He coughed up blood and retreated. Borrowing the power of a chaotic treasure isn't your own strength. Moreover, the karma is too deep. Be careful that you don't die without a burial place. The ninth prince Hong Tian's indifferent voice sounded. He took a step forward and appeared in front of Ling Zhao. He lightly slapped at Ling Zhao with his palm and grabbed the Transcendence Scroll with his other hand. Is that so? You borrowed the power of the Longevity Tower. Is that also your own strength? Hong Tian, since you've embarked on the path of unification, why do you need to use the power of the Longevity Tower to hide your aura? What's the difference between you and a whore who pretends to be a chastity? Ling Zhao smiled faintly and threw a punch at Hong Tian without hesitation. Chapter 3289. The ninth prince of the immortal clan, Hong Tian, also walked the path of the unification of Daos. The reason why the heavenly Tao did not reject him and why no one could determine his cultivation level was because there was a mysterious power covering his body. The Longevity Tower. Unlike the damaged wordless heavenly book, fortune jade disc and primordial bead, the Longevity Tower had an artifact spirit. It was undamaged and had protected the immortal clan's fortune for countless epochs. It was not an exaggeration to say that it shared a symbiotic relationship with the immortal clan's fortune. After absorbing the immortal clan's fortune and nurturing it for countless years, no one knew just how terrifying the Longevity Tower was. Take the Longevity Tower for example. It could interfere with the heavenly Tao and conceal Hong Tian's aura of unification of Daos. You actually noticed it? Hong Tian took a deep look at Ling Zhao. His eyes were overflowing with murderous intent. That light palm print of his was like a storm in an instant, as though it contained an endless hell. The power of great destruction erupted, wanting to kill Ling Zhao with a single palm strike. Boom! Ling Zhao did not display any magical abilities. Instead, he simply threw out a punch. Purple divine light rose from his body and an aura of eternity and indestructibility spread out from him. It was an aura of eternity. It was an aura of eternity. It was an aura of eternity. This was the first time Ling Zhao's primordial immortal body had unleashed its true might after reaching the Great Circle. The two paragons of unification of Daos unleashed a world-shaking attack at the same time. In an instant, their attacks collided. It was as though the world was about to be destroyed and a storm surged up. Dazzling immortal light shone from the ninth prince's body, and an immortal tower, billions of li in height, appeared behind him. The immortal light flowed around it. Kacha! The space distorted violently, and an earth-shattering boom erupted. Ling Xiao and the ninth prince Hong Tian both shuddered at the same time, and then retreated. Hong Tian's face sank slightly. He could sense that the longevity tower's power had been reduced by more than half. Ling Xiao's strength was simply too terrifying. With the support of 3 primordial immortal treasures and his primordial immortal body reaching the Great Circle, Ling Xiao's strength had undergone a qualitative change. In just a flash, he had reached an unfathomable level. Hong Tian's mood turned somewhat gloomy. The feeling of having everything under his control had disappeared. He must die. I originally thought that he could be the whetstone for my myriad Dao unification, but now he actually wants to use me as a whetstone? Hong Tian's eyes revealed an incomparably crazy killing intent. The aura around him surged and the immortal light burned like flames. 9 colored immortal lotus flames soared into the sky and intertwined with one another like a sea of fire, shrouding the entire area. At the same time, a dazzling sword light lit up the sky. It contained boundless heavenly might as it slashed towards Ling Xiao's arm that held the Transcendence Scroll. Gu Tongtian's face was cold and his eyes blazed. That huge sword light seemed to be the embodiment of the heavenly path, but it also seemed to have transcended the shackles of the heavenly path. Its power was terrifying to the extreme. The taboo sword, the sword of the heavens. He quickly closed in on Ling Xiao, and his aura became extremely terrifying and crazy. There was an indescribable stubbornness in his eyes. I knew there was something wrong with you. Scram. Ling Xiao sneered. The sky-devouring sword in his hand swept across the sky like a divine dragon and fell towards the huge sword light. You want to kill me with the sword that I refined? Gu Tongtian said indifferently. An incomparably terrifying emperor's aura spread out from his body, exuding a domineering and invincible aura that swept across the 9 heavens and 10 lands. The sky-devouring sword trembled slightly. In the next moment, it broke free from Ling Xiao's control and flew directly towards Gu Tongtian. You finally can't stand it anymore? Should I call you Gu Tongtian or Emperor Tongtian? Ling Xiao's eyes were as cold as steel, as if he was not surprised at all. Facing the sword of the heavens, he punched out. 3,000 origin Dao fruits appeared around Ling Xiao like stars. They intertwined with each other and merged into Ling Xiao's fist. It was as if 3,000 worlds had exploded in an instant. It contained an endless amount of power. This was the power of 10,000 Daos in one. Even the forbidden sword lost its luster in front of this punch and was blasted apart by Ling Xiao's punch. Ling Xiao bathed in the light that filled the sky. His entire body was like a bolt of lightning, and his momentum did not diminish. His unparalleled fist blasted towards Gu Tongtian. At the same time, the sky-devouring sword suddenly bloomed with dazzling light just as it was about to fly into Gu Tongtian's hand. It was as if a 1,000,000-mile-long archaic dragon phantom had emerged from it. Without any hesitation, the sky-devouring sword slashed towards Gu Tongtian. How dare you attack your master? Gu Tongtian's voice was incomparably cold, containing a trace of anger and killing intent. Using his fingers like a sword, the sword of the heavens soared into the sky and collided with the sky-devouring sword. At that moment, Ling Xiao's supreme fist print, which was formed by the unification of all Daos, came crashing down on Gu Tongtian. Gu Tongtian felt as if the heavenly path origin power around him was being stripped away by the punch. His expression changed slightly. He felt that he could not dodge and could only take this blow head-on. Rumble! Sword chi rose around Gu Tongtian. In the dazzling light, his entire body seemed to have turned into a mysterious ancient sword, piercing through the heavens and the earth. His aura was extremely terrifying. He took Ling Xiao's punch head-on. Although he managed to withstand the punch, he was sent flying by Ling Xiao. He coughed up a mouthful of blood. When did you discover my true identity? Gu Tongtian stared at Ling Xiao and asked with deep eyes. His heart was filled with doubt and shock. Even the celestial emperor could not discover his true identity. How did Ling Xiao know? Naturally, from the moment I laid eyes on you, I've already noticed. You are the great emperor of Tongtian. In order to survive, you chose to sever one of your blades and seal yourself. Isn't it all for the secret of transcendence? Ling Xiao sneered, his eyes full of disdain. His aura was like a dragon. In the face of so many supreme experts in heaven's prides, he showed no fear. Instead, in this fierce battle, his invincible aura seemed to have devoured everything. It was as if the great emperor had awakened and gradually formed. The great emperor of Tongtan? Hong Tian and his highness great-grandson could not help but tremble. Their eyes were filled with incomparable shock. Obviously, they did not expect Gu Tongtian to be the great emperor of Tongtian in the immortal world. It was said that once the immortal slaying sword formation appeared, all great emperors would bow down to it. Kill! Gu Tongtian's eyes were filled with murderous intent. Since his identity had been exposed, there was no point in talking anymore. He could only fight to the end. At this moment, whoever could fight to the end and sweep away all enemies would be able to obtain the secret of transcendence. Ancient heaven's prides, great emperors who severed their own cultivation, peerless kings. It seems that for the secret of transcendence, you have all gone completely crazy. But the secret of transcendence is not fated with you. Ling Xiao, hand over the transcendence scroll. I don't want to kill you. Lulua's voice was indifferent. Even though she was knocked back by Ling Xiao's punch, her expression did not change. She still looked as if everything was under her control. I don't want to kill you either. But I, Ling Xiao, must have the secret of transcendence. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His eyes were sharp and his whole body was exuding a monstrous battle intent. He was surrounded by many supreme experts. Endless murderous intent locked onto him, but he was not afraid. Instead, the aura around him became more and more terrifying. Around Ling Xiao, 3,000 origin Dao fruits were like 3,000 worlds. They were endlessly born and destroyed. Moreover, they were intertwined with each other, showing signs of merging. If that's the case, then she can't blame me. Lulua's expression was indifferent. Her eyes revealed a trace of monstrous murderous intent. Rumble! Dazzling light bloomed around her as if the cycle of reincarnation had been opened. Divine rings surged and spread in all directions. Her aura skyrocketed and became even more dangerous. A huge bronze coffin appeared above Luolua's head. It exuded an endless amount of chi of the netherworld as if it contained a part of hell. The aura of the bronze coffin was incomparably terrifying. It had a natural feeling, as if it had existed since the beginning of the chaos. It was ancient and mysterious. An ultimate chaos treasure. This was a flawless ultimate chaos treasure. A bronze coffin? This is the sky-burying coffin? Ling Zhao's entire body shook. His eyes revealed a trace of incomparable astonishment. Many of the doubts in his heart were suddenly resolved. The bronze coffin was the one that Ling Xiao had seen in the War God Plain. The Bone Dragon and Bone Phoenix had pulled the coffin. Luoluo had been taken away by the bronze coffin. Ling Xiao hadn't expected it to be a ultimate chaos treasure. What shocked Ling Xiao even more was that he had seen the aura of the bronze coffin in the Chaos Ancient Land before. During the fight for the Chosen One, there was a so-called sky-burying coffin in the Emperor ruins of the Chaos Ancient Land that could be exchanged for treasures. Although its appearance was a little different from the bronze coffin in front of him, its aura was exactly the same. This is the flawless ultimate chaos treasure, the sky-burying coffin. Ling Xiao, if you don't hand over the Transcendent Scroll, I have no choice but to suppress you. Luoluo said indifferently. The sky-burying coffin floated in the void like an immemorial divine mountain. However, the terrifying aura of eternal decay and endless reincarnation sprinkled down and locked down everyone below. The sky-burying coffin? Damn it! She's from the nether plane? Hong Tian's expression instantly turned ugly. He only had the imprint left behind by the longevity tower on him. There was no way he could fight against a flawless ultimate chaos treasure. A flawless ultimate chaos treasure with an artifact spirit was something that could even kill a great lord. It could be said that all the geniuses here combined wouldn't be able to withstand a single blow from the sky-burying coffin. It turned out that this was where Lolua's confidence came from. The sky-burying coffin? So what if it's the sky-burying coffin? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His eyes were filled with a blazing sharpness. There wasn't the slightest trace of fear in them. Instead, a shocking battle intent erupted from Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao, don't think that the 3 incomplete ultimate chaos treasures on you can fight against the sky-burying coffin. You have no idea how strong a flawless ultimate chaos treasure is. Luo Luo frowned and slowly said, if it wasn't necessary, he really didn't want to kill Ling Xiao. That would displease the one inside him and cause unnecessary damage. Then let's give it a try. A hint of madness appeared in Ling Xiao's eyes. A terrifying aura erupted from his body like a tsunami. In an instant, he soared into the sky and took the initiative to attack the sky-burying coffin. Suppress! A cold glint flashed across Luolua's eyes. The sky-burying coffin pressed down from the sky. In an instant, it felt as though the world had been turned upside down. An incomparably terrifying pressure erupted. As the name suggested, the sky-burying coffin could even bury the sky. The moment the coffin lid opened, a rain of blood was instantly stirred up. Strange creatures with powerful auras appeared one after another. As for the trial takers, they couldn't resist at all. Their bodies instantly exploded into a mist of blood. Ling Xiao, who was directly below, felt as though he was being suppressed by millions of primordial divine mountains. Moreover, a monstrous murderous aura enveloped him, wanting to completely obliterate his life force. Open! Ling Xiao roared. The terrifying aura around him instantly began to boil and burn. His entire body immediately expanded into a 1,000,000-mile-tall giant. The wordless heavenly book, the fortune jade disc, and the Hong Meng pearl all flew out of his body at the same time and collided with the sky-burying coffin. Ling Xiao lifted his arms, and an unparalleled palm print blasted onto the sky-burying coffin. He wanted to lift the coffin up. The 3 chaotic treasures were pushed to the extreme by Ling Xiao. They emitted boundless light and collided with the sky-burying coffin. Rumble! Boundless chaotic light exploded as though it was splitting the sky and earth. An extremely powerful force swept out like a storm, sweeping away all the black mist within a 1,000,000-mile radius. As for the strange creatures hiding in the black mist, they exploded one after another. Ling Xiao's body shook violently. His entire body was suppressed by the sky-burying coffin. In an instant, he returned to his normal size and flew out. Ling Xiao also coughed out a mouthful of purplish gold blood, which was then absorbed by the Transcendence Scroll. His face was a little pale, but his eyes were unprecedentedly bright. In the sky, the wordless heavenly book, the fortune jade disc, and the Hong Meng pearl, although the 3 chaotic treasures were all damaged, they blocked the sky-burying coffin and prevented it from crushing down. Ling Xiao, without the protection of the chaotic treasures, let's see how arrogant you can be. Go to hell. Killing intent flashed in Sakura's eyes as he pounced on Ling Xiao. Is that so? Sakura, you're really stupid. Ling Xiao's lips curled into a faint mocking smile. He looked at Sakura as though he was looking at a dead man. Chaotic light rose behind him. The 3,000 origin Dao fruits seemed to have gathered together and turned into a dazzling sun. Ling Xiao's aura instantly skyrocketed to an unimaginable level. Crack! He punched out and the void shattered. The unparalleled fist print directly destroyed Sakura's attack, and then slammed into Sakura's chest. All the bones in Sakura's body exploded with a loud bang, and his entire person actually exploded into a bloody mist in the void. Chapter 3290. What? Everyone was shocked, and their eyes were filled with horror. Who was Sakura? The 9 Extremes King, a peerless genius of the ancient era. No one doubted that he could prove his Tao and become an emperor. However, Sakura had sealed himself in this era for the secret of transcendence. For ancient geniuses like Sakura and Tathagata, proving their Tao and becoming an emperor wasn't a problem. However, their obsession was the secret of transcendence. Hence, after seeing the secret of transcendence, they all went crazy. Even Tathagata had turned into an angry Vajra. However, no one expected Ling Zhao's strength to be so terrifying that he blasted Sakura apart with one punch. Rumble. Di Shirtian's blood and chi sword as a majestic life force erupted. The flesh and blood that exploded instantly condensed into a new body. At his current cultivation level, being reborn from a drop of blood was a simple matter. However, his complexion was incomparably pale, and his eyes were filled with solemnity. Ling Zhao's tyrannical punch just now actually made Sakura feel a sense of impending death. How many years had it been since he last felt like this? Even in the face of a supreme great emperor, Sakura wasn't the slightest bit afraid. He could even win. Unification of 10,000 Daos. This is the beginning of the fusion of 10,000 Daos origins. Ling Zhao, you've reached this step. Ninth Prince Hong Tian's eyes were filled with disbelief as he let out a roar. No one knew better than him the difficulty of the fusion of 10,000 Daos origins. No one knew better than him how terrifying the fusion of 10,000 Daos origins was. He had been on the path of 10,000 Daos unification for a long time, but he still hadn't found the possibility of the fusion of 10,000 Daos. How long had it been since Ling Zhao stepped on the path of 10,000 Daos unification? Hong Tian's heart was filled with intense jealousy. As for the others, although they didn't know what the fusion of 10,000 Daos meant, they could see how powerful and terrifying Ling Zhao was. Everyone, attack together and kill him. Everyone's eyes were filled with intense killing intent as they roared and charged towards Ling Zhao. Rumble. Numerous peerless geniuses attacked at the same time. Their attacks traversed the 9 heavens and wreaked havoc on the earth. The power was terrifying to the extreme, as if it was going to destroy the world and recreate the chaos. Ling Zhao was almost submerged in an instant. At this moment, whether it was Sakura, Hong Tian, Tathagata, Gu Tong Tian, or the other contestants, they all felt a strong threat from Ling Zhao. Without hesitation, they all unleashed their strongest killing moves. Ling Zhao, do you really think that I can't do anything to you just because you've refined my heaven-piercing 4 swords? Heavenly sword formation, rise. Killing intent boiled in Gu Tongtian's eyes. He waved his sleeve and an extremely powerful sword will burst forth. The space around him twisted violently and 4 ancient swords that reached the heavens condensed in an instant. The 4 ancient swords hung high in the sky, surrounding Ling Zhao in 4 different directions. Their divine might was like the sea, and sword chi rose like purgatory, wanting to completely annihilate Ling Zhao. So what if it's the heavenly sword formation? If you were still the Grand Emperor of Heavenspan, maybe I wouldn't be a match for you. But now that you are Gu Tongtan, what can you do to me? Ling Zhao sneered. His eyes were blazing with sharpness. Rumble. The purple-gold light around him was dazzling. His entire body exuded an immortal and mysterious brilliance. The 3,000 great paths behind him were like a torrent, being destroyed by him and continuously integrated into his body. This was actually not the true integration of 10,000 great paths. Ling Zhao had used the power of the sky-burying coffin to forcibly shatter the source of 10,000 great paths and integrate them into his body. The tyrannical power brought about by this forced integration seemed to be bursting Ling Zhao's entire body. He urgently needed to release and vent. Even in the face of the 4 geniuses, Sakura, Gu Tongtian, Hong Tian, and Tathagata, his eyes were still full of crazy fighting intent. Boom! He took a step forward and the void around him shook at the same time. The sword chi that swept toward him was destroyed at the same time, unable to hurt him at all. He punched out. It was as if the 3,000 great paths had been integrated into this punch. It was as if the heavenly way had sent down a heavenly punishment that could destroy the world. He directly blasted an ancient sword and instantly appeared in front of Gu Tongtian. What? Gu Tongtian's expression changed as he retreated. He did not expect that the incomparably powerful heavenly sword formation would be like paper under Ling Zhao's fist light. It was blasted apart by Ling Zhao's punch. He did not dare to take the brunt of it and wanted to dodge for the time being. However, Ling Zhao's ferocious fist print had already suppressed him. He had no choice but to raise his arms to block. At the same time, endless sword qi shot out from his body towards Ling Zhao's vital points. However, a crisp sound rang out, and his arms instantly exploded into a mist of blood. His entire body was sent flying. The terrifying sword qi, which was enough to kill a peerless imperial emperor, pierced Ling Zhao's body. It was as if gold and iron had collided, emitting bright sparks. Then, it was instantly destroyed. It could not hurt Ling Xiao at all. Amitabha, benefactor Ling Xiao, you have become a demon. Tathagata softly chanted the name of Buddha, and the resplendent Buddhist light around him erupted. A gigantic golden body of Buddha that was billions of miles tall appeared behind him. The golden body of Buddha was holy and mysterious. It lowered its head and smiled while pinching a flower. Boundless Buddhist light bloomed around its body as it slapped down towards Ling Xiao. Tathagata divine palm. This palm seemed to contain a vast universe. One flower, one world, one leaf, one Bodhi. One palm, one universe. This palm enveloped the surrounding heaven and earth as if it wanted to suck Ling Xiao into the vast Buddhist kingdom in the palm and completely destroy him. Whether I, Ling Xiao, am a demon or a Buddha, is not up to you to decide. My fate is up to me, not the heavens. Ling Xiao smiled indifferently. His gaze was as sharp as a sword, and his will was as firm as iron. Facing the Tathagata divine palm, he still punched out. The 3,000 world shook, and the chaotic light gushed out. This punch seemed to have penetrated the past, present, and future, destroying endless worlds. It collided fiercely with the Tathagata divine palm. Boom! In an instant, the boundless Buddhist light was annihilated. Boundless light of destruction gushed out from the surface of Ling Zhao's fist, which surged forward mightily to envelop the gigantic golden body of Buddha. Kacha! Cracks appeared on the golden body of Buddha. In the end, it was destroyed. Tathagata's face turned pale and he coughed out a mouthful of golden-colored blood as he staggered backwards. Subdue! At the same time, Hong Tian shouted and a blazing immortal light shone out from his body. Behind him, the imprint of the Longevity Tower appeared. It contained an extremely sublime power and it became like a primordial divine mountain that was billions of li tall. Next, it pressed down on Ling Yun. Hong Tian had gone all out. He did not even hesitate to mobilize all of the power within the Longevity Tower. This was a full-powered attack from a chaos treasure. It was strong enough to kill an emperor. Without the protection of the wordless heavenly book, the fortune jade disc and the primordial bead, Hong Tian did not believe that Ling Xiao could withstand the suppression of the Longevity Tower. Rumble! Ling Zhao's body shook violently. He felt as though millions upon millions of mountains were pressing down on him. The endless pressure caused him to feel as though he was imprisoned in place. Ling Xiao abruptly raised his head, his eyes blazing with a dazzling light. He raised both his arms and, like a giant lifting a mountain, he lifted the massive Longevity Tower imprint. So. The Longevity Tower shone with a dazzling immortal light and a vast amount of immortal luck seemingly gushed out from it. In a flash, it transformed into pillars of light that reached the sky and the earth, trapping Ling Xiao within them. 9 immortals, divine luck, suppress eternity. Everyone attack together. Kill him. Hong Tian's eyes were filled with monstrous killing intent. In a flash, he mobilized the supreme magic array within the Longevity Tower to suppress Ling Xiao. Hearing that, Gu Tong Tian, Sakra and Tathagata madly charged towards Ling Xiao. Without any hesitation, the other trial challengers and geniuses all unleashed their strongest attacks. They were all completely terrified. Ling Zhao's strength had far exceeded their imaginations. They even felt that even an unparalleled great emperor might not be as strong as him. Ling Xiao must die. If he did not die, forget about the secret of transcendence, they might all die in his hands today. Rumble! With Hong Tian, Gu Tong Tian, Sakra and Tathagata in the lead, all the trial takers and geniuses unleashed an incomparably terrifying torrent of destruction, which ruthlessly slammed into Ling Zhao's body. It was an extremely terrifying attack. Even the Longevity Tower's imprint instantly dimmed, as though it would shatter at any moment. Ling Xiao had taken on the attack head-on. Hong Tian did not have the time to feel sorry for the Longevity Tower's imprint. His heart was filled with doubts. Is Ling Xiao dead? Facing such a terrifying attack, without the protection of the Longevity Tower's imprint, he would undoubtedly die. Although Ling Xiao was powerful, he should not be able to survive, right? Boom. However, before Hong Tian could check whether Ling Xiao was dead or not, he felt an even more violent and frenzied power surging towards him, causing the surrounding space to shake violently. Break! A furious roar rang out, seemingly capable of splitting heaven and earth apart. Everyone there saw a towering giant standing in the center of the resplendent storm. The giant radiated a purple-gold divine light, which instantly lifted up the Longevity Tower's imprint. Next, both his arms abruptly exerted strength to tear the Longevity Tower's imprint into pieces. Rumble! The Longevity Tower's imprint exploded, transforming into a resplendent rain of light. Ling Xiao's figure walked out from the sky of light. His entire body was stained with blood and some parts of his body revealed white bones. However, the aura radiating from his body grew increasingly strong. It seemed as though he would explode at any moment. You're not dead. Hong Tian's eyes were filled with disbelief and shock. Ling Xiao threw a punch forward and Hong Tian hastily blocked it. Immortal light converged around him to form a massive immortal Dao fist silhouette, but Ling Xiao's punch blew it up. As though he had been struck by lightning, Hong Tian coughed out blood continuously. Since you all want to die, I will fulfill your wishes. Killing intent surged within Ling Xiao's eyes as he slapped down with his palm. The palm's silhouette instantly spread out across a radius of 500,000 li. The primal chaos light within the palm's silhouette obliterated everything. The many trial takers and sky prides, as well as the strange creatures, had no room to dodge at all. All of them were blown up by Ling Xiao's palm. The transcendent scroll trembled slightly. Instantly, the flesh, blood, and primordial spirits were sucked into the transcendent scroll like a whale swallowing the ocean. The transcendent scroll shone with a resplendent light. Auspicious vapors rose from it as it shone with a myriad of multicolored lights. It was as though some sort of sealed truth of the world was about to burst out from the scroll. Ling Xiao, hand over the transcendent scroll. At that moment, Luo, who was controlling the sky-bearing coffin to fight against the 3 chaos treasures, seemed to have sensed something. A cold glint flashed across her eyes as she charged towards Ling Xiao. Rumble! The reincarnation divine light bloomed around her. An incomparably mysterious figure vaguely appeared behind her. It was as though someone who had walked out from the beginning of the chaos. Every movement of its body contained unfathomable heavenly might. Luo struck out with her palm. The figure seemed to strike out with his palm as well. Instantly, the area around Ling Xiao was sealed. The origin of myriad Daos around Ling Xiao surged violently. It transformed into an unparalleled fist silhouette that charged towards Luo. The world rumbled. This time, Ling Xiao's origin of myriad Daos seemed to have been smashed into pieces. The fist silhouette shattered with a loud bang. Luo struck Ling Xiao's chest with her palm. Ling Xiao's chest caved in. His incomparably tough bones actually made a crisp sound as they were broken by the palm. If you want the transcendent scroll, you have to kill me first. The corners of Ling Xiao's mouth curled into a maniacal smile. Without the slightest hesitation, a 4-colored beam of light shot out from the eye of the sovereign. It contained an incomparably terrifying power as it shot directly towards the figure behind Luo. The figure's entire body shook violently. His eyes seemed to be filled with incomparable horror. However, in the next moment he was shattered with a loud bang. Without the support of the figure, Luo was sent flying by Ling Xiao's punch. Kill! Ling Xiao was like a dragon emerging from the sea. His entire body was wrapped in a monstrous murderous aura. His entire body exuded an invincible aura as he charged towards the crowd of trial challengers. Even Hong Tian, Sakura, Gu Tongtian, and Tathagata were unable to withstand a single punch from Ling Xiao. As for the trial challengers and prodigies, They were all blasted to smithereens by Ling Xiao, their flesh, blood, and primordial spirits devoured by the Transcendence Scroll. Madman, you're really a madman. Gu Tongtian's eyes were filled with intense fear. He coughed up blood repeatedly. In an instant, he decisively gave up on snatching the Transcendence Scroll and turned to leave. You want to leave? You'd better stay. Ling Zhao's eyes were filled with cold, murderous intent. A dazzling light erupted from his body. Divine chains of order shot out and instantly wrapped around Gu Tongtian's entire body. He strode over with boundless heavenly might. He punched out, aiming straight for Gu Tongtian's sea of consciousness between his eyebrows. Gu Tongtian's body exploded with a loud bang. In his sea of consciousness between his eyebrows, an illusory figure appeared. It looked at Ling Xiao with eyes filled with hatred. Ling Xiao, I'll remember you. Just you wait. That illusory figure looked like a primordial spirit. However, it seemed to be somewhat incomplete. It exuded an extremely strange aura. It stared fixedly at Ling Xiao. In an instant, it exploded in front of Ling Xiao and turned into nothingness. Meanwhile, Gu Tongtian's flesh and blood were instantly devoured by the Transcendence Scroll. Gu Tongtian voted. Gu Tongtian didn't die? Ling Zhao's heart skipped a beat. He thought of that primordial spirit that seemed to be somewhat incomplete. He seemed to have thought of something. After devouring Gu Tongtian's flesh and blood, the Transcendence Scroll seemed to become even more dazzling and mysterious. It was as if the scene of ascension had appeared. The divine sound of the great path could be heard from within. It seems that Gu Tongtian alone isn't enough. Perhaps if I kill the three of you, I'll be able to completely activate the Transcendence Scroll. Ling Xiao looked at Hong Tian, Sakura, and Tathagata. His eyes were filled with monstrous murderous intent. The three of them couldn't help but change their expressions. Chapter 3291. Rumble. Blazing divine light gushed out from Ling Zhao's body as a violent force swept out in all directions. Although his physical body was immortal and his primordial immortal body had reached the great perfection, he still felt like he was about to explode after forcefully using the sky-burying coffin to shatter the origin of all Daos. He had forcefully fused all Daos and obtained a heaven-defying power. However, the backlash that followed would be extremely fierce. Therefore, Ling Xiao had to suppress all his enemies and obtain the secret of transcendence before the backlash arrived. As soon as his voice fell, he once again charged towards everyone. Especially Sakura, Rulai, and Hong Tian, they were the focus of his attention. Avicii Hell Immortal Slaying Blade. The ninth prince Hong Tian roared. His eyes were burning with killing intent as he struck out with his palm. A flying immortal blade flew out from his palm. It was dazzling and caused the surrounding void to vibrate violently. It shuttled between reality and illusion as it slashed towards Ling Xiao. This was the fourth move, the Forbidden Blade. It was also the blade that destroyed the origin. The ninth prince Hong Tian saw that Ling Xiao had forcefully fused all Daos and that there was a huge flaw in the origin of the great Tao in his body. Therefore, he did not hesitate to use the Avicii Hell Immortal Slaying Blade. Sword of Tao, kill! Tathagata also roared. The Buddhist light around him surged and a yellow sword chi rose up. It was as if heaven and earth had been overturned as it slashed towards Ling Xiao. Kill! Ling Xiao flew across the sky as his blood chi rose. Facing the blade and sword in front of him, he did not dodge. Instead, he met them with his fists. Unparalleled fist print swept across the area with an invincible aura. It was like a chaotic divine demon. It passed through the blade light and sword chi and pressed down on Hong Tian and Tathagata. The forbidden blade slashed into Ling Zhao's body and instantly turned into an extremely violent force. It raged in Ling Zhao's body and wanted to destroy his origin of the great Tao. As for the sword of Taoism, it was extremely sharp. Even Ling Zhao's tough body was unable to withstand the sword chi, and deep gashes appeared on his body. Ling Xiao was bathed in blood. The unparalleled fist print hit Hong Tian and Tathagata, causing them to tremble and fly out. Ling Xiao, who had merged with 10,000 Daos, was extremely powerful. Even Hong Tian and Tathagata were no match for him. However, the taboo saber and taboo sword were said to be martial arts left behind by a nirvana-level expert. They were extremely powerful, and they also inflicted heavy injuries on Ling Xiao. Take my taboo blade as well. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with murderous intent, and a blazing blade light condensed in his palm. It was as black as ink, as if an ancient hell had appeared. The black blade light contained a breathtaking power as it slashed down towards Hong Tian, Tathagata, and Sakura Buddha in a mighty manner. A Vici infernal heaven-burying saber. Heart-cutting blade. This slash was just right. Sakura, Rulai, and Hong Tian had already been severely injured by Ling Xiao. They were intimidated by Ling Xiao's invincible aura. When they faced the heavens-burying blade of Avicii, they naturally felt a sense of fear. An extremely crisp sound rang out. They all felt their Tao hearts tremble, and it was as if something within their bodies had cracked. They could not help but reveal a trace of fear in their eyes as they looked at Ling Xiao. Kill! Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he punched towards Sakura. Sakura roared in anger as he tried to resist. However, his Tao heart was damaged, which caused him to be unable to exert his full strength. He barely resisted, but was still sent flying by Ling Xiao's punch. Cough cough. Di Shirtian coughed out blood again and again as his eyes were filled with incomparable horror. He realized that Ling Xiao's punch seemed to contain tens of thousands of origin energy. It rushed into his body, causing his body to shake violently. His body was about to collapse. Boom! Ling Xiao punched out again. Hong Tian and Tathagata also retreated while coughing out blood. Everyone was stunned. They looked at Ling Xiao in disbelief. Sakura, Hong Tian, Tathagata, and the others, which one of them wasn't a peerless genius? Now, in Ling Xiao's hands, no one was a match for him. Ling Xiao heard the sound of something breaking through the air behind him. He turned around without hesitation and punched out. The unparalleled punch seemed to be able to annihilate everything as it collided with Luoluo in an instant. The void shook as the two of them retreated at the same time. Luoluo couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. That was black blood. The Transcendence Scroll shone brightly and swallowed that mouthful of blood in an instant. Ling Xiao's eyes were extremely sharp. Taking advantage of his retreat, he punched towards Sakura again. Rumble! Ling Xiao's punch was fierce and vast. Sakura couldn't resist at all. In the blink of an eye, Ling Xiao had punched out thousands of times. Sakura was incomparably aggrieved. He couldn't understand why Ling Xiao was focusing on him. Ling Xiao was focusing on Sakura, which greatly reduced the pressure on Hong Tian and Tathagata. The two of them looked at each other, and there was a hint of retreating in their eyes. Ling Xiao's strength was too terrifying. If they continued to stay, perhaps they would really die in Ling Xiao's hands. Boom! After Sakura forcefully endured Ling Xiao's hundreds of fists, his entire body exploded with a loud bang. However, his boundless vitality surged, and he quickly condensed a new body. Ling Xiao, you can't kill me! Sakura roared again and again. His eyes were filled with madness. Is that so? If I want to kill you, even God can't save you. Ling Xiao sneered. The killing intent around him was boiling. The sky-swallowing sword soared into the sky, and the sword chi spread out for hundreds of millions of miles. In an instant, countless sword chi slashed towards Sakura. I'd like to see how many times your life origin can recover. In Ling Xiao's palms, there was a black blade light rising, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. Two taboo blades slashed down towards Sakura. At the same time, Ling Xiao activated the violent origin energy around him, turning it into an earth-shattering supreme punch that pressed down on Sakura. What? Sakura's face changed completely. Amidst the storm-like attacks, he felt the threat of death. He wanted to run away, but it was too late. The sky-swallowing sword sealed off the surroundings. The sharp sword chi was constantly aimed at his vital parts. The god-slaying blade and heart-slaying blade pressed down, causing the cracks in his Taoist heart to become bigger and bigger. Even his indestructible primordial spirit was severely injured. In the end, Ling Zhao's domineering punch pressed down and blasted him into powder once again. Di Shitian's entire body exploded into a bloody mist. But this time, before he could recondense a new body, the sword chi and blade light that filled the sky fell and shattered Sakra's life origin in an instant. Swoosh! The transcendent scroll in Ling Zhao's hand was rolled up. It buzzed as if it had sensed a delicacy. In an instant, it spread across the sky and swallowed Sakra's flesh and primordial spirit. No! Sakra finally let out an incomparably desperate, fearful and unwilling roar. But soon it stopped abruptly. Sakra had fallen. The 9 Fatalities King, the legendary prodigy of the ancient era, had stepped onto the Eternal Emperor Road 9 times in order to obtain the secret of transcendence. Now, Sakra had died at Ling Zhao's hands. Even Hong Tian and Tathagata looked at Ling Zhao with great caution and fear. Ling Zhao's current strength was too terrifying. Hong Tian, Tathagata, it's your turn. Ling Zhao's lips curled into a cold smile as he looked at the two of them. Rumble. At that moment, the Transcendence Scroll seemed to have absorbed enough energy. In an instant, a dazzling light bloomed in the void. The 2 forbidden blades on Ling Zhao's body seemed to have come alive. They turned into 2 black blade lights and flew toward the Transcendence Scroll. At the same time, the forbidden blades on Ba Dao, Hong Tian, Tathagata, and Duguchiobai all turned into blade lights and sword chi and were swallowed by the Transcendence Scroll. The aura of the Transcendence Scroll became more and more terrifying. Its aura grew stronger and stronger as if it was going to suppress everyone within. Ling Zhao, I'll remember you. Just you wait until I've proven my Dao and become an emperor. Then, I'll settle the score with you. Seeing the approaching Ling Zhao, Hong Tian raised his head and looked at the Transcendence Scroll with great reluctance. After saying those words, he instantly activated the imprint of the Longevity Tower. Kacha! The silhouette of a mysterious tower appeared in the void and instantly enveloped Hong Tian. Then Hong Tian transformed into a stream of light and was teleported out of the dark plane. He was truly afraid. Even Tathagata felt like retreating. The other trial challengers didn't need to do so either. All of them automatically distanced themselves from Ling Zhao, afraid that they would be targeted by him. Rumble! The Transcendence Scroll hovering in the void shone brightly. In the end, an incomparably large vortex appeared, seemingly leading to another ancient world. A resplendent pillar of light shot out from the vortex and enveloped Ling Zhao. After sensing the aura within the pillar of light, Ling Zhao's eyes involuntarily revealed a strange look. The secret of transcendence has appeared. Someone cried out in shock. Instantly, many of the trial takers wanted to soar into the sky and fly towards the Transcendence Scroll. Although they were wary of Ling Zhao, their greed won out and they wanted to rush into the Transcendence Scroll. Even Tathagata and Luo Luo's eyes glinted sharply and they instantly leapt into the air. Rumble! However, in the next moment, a vast and unparalleled pressure descended upon them. Everyone's bodies shuddered as though they had been struck by lightning. A mysterious power suppressed them, preventing them from entering the Transcendence Scroll. I've said it before. The secret of transcendence belongs to me. You are not qualified, Ling Zhao said with a faint smile. Instantly, he soared into the sky. This time, the Transcendence Scroll did not obstruct him in the slightest. It allowed Ling Zhao to enter the Transcendence Scroll. What? Everyone's eyes revealed looks of unwillingness. They could not understand why Ling Zhao was able to enter the Transcendence Scroll, but they were all rejected. Without exception, even Zhao Ritian, Duguchiobai, and the others had tried. Ba Jian and Duguchiobai, who possessed the Forbidden Saber, were no exception. None of them could enter the Transcendence Scroll. I think I remember now. Ling Zhao is a forsaken person who walks the path of 10,000 Daos as one. Could it be that only a forsaken person can enter the Transcendence Scroll? Someone exclaimed, guessing a possibility. When everyone heard this, their expressions changed. Perhaps this was the truth. Chapter 3292. A strange look appeared in everyone's eyes. If only those who walked the path of 10,000 Daos as one were qualified to enter the Transcendence Scroll, wouldn't Hong Tian have suffered a great loss? Hong Tian had already escaped before the Transcendence Scroll was activated. Not necessarily. Hong Tian may be qualified to enter the Transcendence Scroll, but he's no match for Ling Xiao. Even if he enters, he'll only be beaten to death by Ling Xiao. Someone said. Everyone was incomparably depressed. They realized that in the end, none of them had the qualifications to obtain the secret of transcendence. All of their efforts had gone to Ling Xiao's benefit. The secret of transcendence, or should I say, the path of 10,000 Daos as one? Luo Luo looked at the transcendence scroll in front of her, her eyes shining brightly. It seemed to confirm a certain guess in her heart. She didn't feel depressed because she didn't obtain the transcendence scroll. To her, whether she obtained the secret of transcendence or not didn't matter. Looking at the transcendence scroll in front of her, her guess was confirmed. The secret of transcendence is the path of 10,000 Daos as one? Everyone's body trembled. Luo Luo's words were no different from a sudden clap of thunder in their ears. Their bodies trembled, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. Since ancient times, the path of 10,000 Daos as one was publicly acknowledged to be a dead end. It was a path forsaken by the heavens. Anyone who walked the path of 10,000 Daos as one would eventually die without a burial ground. Even the immortal race's ninth prince, Hong Tian, walked the path of 10,000 Daos as one, but he used the Longevity Tower's brand to conceal his aura. He didn't want to be sensed by the heavenly Tao, so he instinctively believed that the path of 10,000 Daos as one was a dead end. However, if the path of 10,000 Daos as one was the true secret of transcendence, then it was terrifying. If that's really the case, then wouldn't we have wasted our time? Everyone's expression was incomparably ugly. Guessing the secret of transcendence made them feel even worse and more terrified than not obtaining the secret of transcendence. Amitba, I'm afraid the path of transcendence is not fated with us. However, we can still affirm our Tao and become great emperors. As long as we become great emperors, we'll be able to take the initiative in the upcoming immeasurable calamity. Although Ling Xiao had entered the Transcendence Scroll, even if he obtained the secret of transcendence, he might not be able to transcend. Since ancient times, there had been so many people, so many outstanding great emperors, but who could transcend? Moreover, when he returns to the myriad worlds, he will definitely become everyone's greatest enemy. Even the great emperors will want to capture him and find out the secrets of transcendence from him. Ling Xiao's fate will definitely be one of death's door. Tathagata sighed softly and turned to leave. His words made everyone's heart skip a beat. Obtaining the secret of transcendence might not be a good thing. What Ling Xiao would have to face next was a situation where the entire world would be his enemy. Rumble. The Transcendence Scroll shone with resplendent light. Then, it turned into a streamer of light and disappeared before everyone's eyes. The heavenly Tao source energy trembled violently, as if it was about to shatter at any moment. Everyone's expression changed drastically, and they all rushed back the way they came. If the heavenly Tao origin energy disappeared completely, they would be trapped in the dark world forever, never to be reincarnated. The strange creatures in the black mist were too powerful and terrifying. If it wasn't for the secret of transcendence, they wouldn't have been willing to come here. Wushuan Wushuang, do you want to leave? Leave the demonic armor behind. Darkness Ling Xiao sneered. His eyes were blazing with killing intent as he stared at the demonic armor on Wushuan Wushuang. You want the demonic armor? Let's see if you have the ability. Wushuan Wushuang sneered. In an instant, he turned into a streamer of light and rushed into the distance. Darkness Ling Xiao didn't hesitate and chased after him. His Highness Great Sun also sneered and leaped into the air. Soon, only Luo Luo was left in the dark world. Luo Luo looked at the burying sky coffin in front of her, as well as the wordless heavenly book, fortune jade disc, and Hong Meng bead that were fighting against the coffin. As if Ling Xiao had deliberately forgotten, he didn't take back the 3 chaos treasures before entering the Transcendence Scroll. I know what you're planning, but if he really walks the path of transcendence, your souls will be destroyed in the end. Luo Luo looked at the 3 chaos treasures and said indifferently, "Whoosh." A light flashed in her palm. The burying sky coffin gave up its fight with the 3 chaos treasures and flew back into her palm. She slowly opened the lid of the burying sky coffin. A little girl in a white dress was lying inside. Her aura was pure. Although her face was extremely pale, she looked exactly like Luo Luo. The other Luo Luo. Do you trust him that much? He's a chess piece that many people have their eyes on. How can it be so easy for him to jump out of the chessboard? Transcendence. Who can truly transcend? Luo Luo sighed softly. Then, she put away the burying sky coffin and turned to leave. Soon, she disappeared into the dark world. The black mist surged, and the strange creatures pounced over. This area quickly regained its peace and tranquility. Where is this? When Ling Xiao opened his eyes, he discovered that he had appeared in an extremely strange space. There was an ancient tree in front of him. It looked extremely old and strong, with luxuriant branches and leaves. It was surrounded by chaotic aura. Every leaf was crystal clear and sparkling with light, as if it was branded with the mysterious scenes of the world's birth and death. There was a stone table and 2 stone stools under the ancient tree. There was a chessboard on the stone table. Black and white pieces crisscrossed each other. It looked like they were in a stalemate. Even with Ling Xiao's current knowledge, he couldn't tell at a glance whether the black pieces had the upper hand or the white pieces. There was also a scroll on the stone table. It looked very much like the Transcendence Scroll. Is the scroll recording the secret of transcendence? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. He slowly walked to the ancient tree. For some reason, the ancient tree didn't look very tall from afar. However, when Ling Xiao walked closer, he felt that the ancient tree seemed to have grown 1,000,000,000 times in an instant. Standing under the ancient tree, he felt like he was standing in the boundless chaos. At that moment, the ancient tree was indomitable, supporting the chaos and breaking through the void. It made everything meaningful. Every leaf seemed to be a world of its own. What he saw before him was very similar to what was recorded in the Buddhist scriptures. 1 flower, 1 world. 1 leaf, 1 Bodhi. The birth and fall of the leaves were like the birth and death of the world. It contained some kind of truth. Could this be the legendary Tree of World? Ling Xiao's body trembled. Everything in front of him looked extremely ordinary, but it was also extremely extraordinary. Ling Xiao had a feeling that perhaps everything here was left behind by the person who had transcended. I'd like to see what the secret of transcendence is that has never appeared in the past 108 eras, but countless great emperors are looking forward to it. Ling Xiao thought to himself. He grabbed the scroll and slowly unfurled it. The pure white picture scroll looked as boundless as the heavens and earth. 8 ancient words were written on it with a flourish of ink. Unification of all Daos, Emperor Lord Invincible. The 8 words were extremely ordinary, like the calligraphy of a mortal. Although they were intricately drawn and had their own artistic conception, there was no Taoist rhyme or origin attached to them. Is this the secret of transcendence? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. A look of understanding flashed across his eyes. In fact, before Ling Xiao entered the Transcendence Scroll, he had taken a hit from the sky-burying coffin. He had forcefully shattered the 3,000 origin Dao fruits in his body and forcibly merged all Daos to obtain extremely powerful combat strength. At that moment, Ling Xiao wondered if the so-called path of transcendence was the path of unification of all Daos. Now, after seeing the words on the scroll, Ling Xiao had a better understanding of the situation. It seemed like his guess was correct. The secret of transcendence was the unification of all Daos. Are these the words that countless geniuses are fighting for? However, the unification of all Daos has existed since ancient times. Those geniuses and monstrous geniuses must know that the unification of all Daos is the path of transcendence, right? Ling Xiao thought to himself. He was a little puzzled. His gaze landed on the last 4 words. Emperor Lord Invincible. Emperor Lord Invincible? Is the Emperor Lord a certain realm? Ling Xiao suddenly trembled as if he had thought of a certain possibility. Disbelief flashed across his eyes. Emperor Lord Invincible can also be said to be Emperor Lord Invincible. However, Emperor Lord Invincible is the strongest in all the realms. Is there a need to elaborate on this? Unless there's another layer of meaning. Ling Zhao's heart trembled, and his entire body trembled violently. He felt that he had guessed the greatest secret of all time. Emperor Lord Invincible is unique, eternal, and revered throughout the world. In other words, the Emperor Lords in all the realms are not truly invincible. Therefore, they are not true emperors. They can only be called pseudo-emperors, quasi-emperors, because they are not true emperors at all. Ling Zhao's entire body trembled as he felt his blood surging through his veins. His blood began to boil. He had always thought that Emperor Lord was the supreme realm. They were invincible and revered throughout the world. They were the strongest realm. However, emperors could also die. Many emperors were killed by other emperors. They could not even live past the great calamity of an era. Those emperors who could live past an era could be counted on one hand. If they were not true emperors, everything would be clear. Only true emperors could be invincible. Or rather, transcendence is not the realm above Emperor Lord. Transcendence is the invincible Emperor Lord Invincible. They are the true emperors who are revered by all living beings and are immortal. Those who transcend are the invincible emperors. Ling Zhao's heart trembled, but his eyes were unprecedentedly bright. Unification of all Daos, Emperor Lord Invincible. These 8 ordinary words had been hidden in the Transcendence Scroll for countless eras. It was very likely that they were left behind by the Transcendence. These 8 words were not simple. Ling Zhao's guess was very close to the truth. If the Transcendence were the great emperors, then everything would make sense. Starting from the 9th level of the Imperial Monarch realm, the path of cultivation seems to be split into 2 paths. The first path is to attain the Tao and become an Imperial Monarch. One is to ascend to the extreme, obtain extreme Imperial might, and be revered throughout the world. The other path is even more difficult. It is the unification of all Daos, the path of invincibility. It is also the so-called transcendence. Therefore, it is almost impossible to transcend after the Tao affirmation and Emperor Lord Invincible. Because these are 2 paths. Ling Zhao thought to himself. His gaze suddenly fell on the chessboard in front of him. The white and black pieces on the chessboard crisscrossed. In Ling Zhao's eyes, they seemed to have become 2 winding paths. One path was bright and flat. He could see hope at a glance. The other path was dark and there seemed to be only despair ahead. Buzz. Ling Zhao's Eye of God was activated. The 4 forces of chaos, fate, karma, and reincarnation merged together. Ling Zhao saw that the black pieces seemed to have turned into billions of stars. They were stars that did not shine in the dark sky. Those stars intertwined with each other and rotated slowly. They followed an extremely strange trajectory as if they were outlining some kind of supreme cultivation technique. Boom! Lightning seemed to explode in Ling Zhao's body. He had forcefully fused 10,000 Daos previously. Although he had released quite a bit of that incomparably tyrannical power, the remaining portion had still destroyed all the meridians in his body, causing his body to be in a mess. If it weren't for the fact that the primordial immortal body was strong enough, his physical body would have been completely destroyed. At this moment, the tyrannical origin source energy in his body followed the same strange trajectory and started to circulate in Ling Zhao's body. A cultivation technique suddenly appeared in Ling Zhao's mind. Life reversing technique. This was a cultivation technique that Ling Zhao had obtained in the War God plane. At the cost of burning one's lifespan, one could obtain a powerful offensive technique. However, Ling Zhao now realized that the life reversing technique was actually incomplete. The trajectory of the stars was constantly perfecting and mending the life-reversing technique. Ling Zhao's body started to circulate the life-reversing technique automatically. His majestic life origin source also started to burn. After being converted by the life-reversing technique, the burning lifespan seemed to have turned into an incomparably mystical power. The tyrannical origin source energy in Ling Zhao's body started to become gentle and gathered together as if to fuse into a new power. This is the true fusion of all das. Ling Zhao's heart was extremely shaken. His eyes were filled with disbelief. He finally understood that the mysterious trajectory of the stars that he had seen with the eye of the ruler must have been a supreme cultivation technique left behind by the previous transcending grade expert. After being perfected, Ling Zhao called it the life-reversing technique for the time being. The new life-reversing technique allowed Ling Zhao to obtain a power similar to the heavenly Tao by burning one's life origin source. He could control all Tao's origin source and gradually merge them. This was the fusion of all Taos, and also the unification of all Taos. Is this fate, or is there someone controlling all of this from behind the scenes? Ling Zhao didn't become extremely excited. His heart was filled with calmness. If he hadn't obtained the wordless heavenly book and comprehended the 12 sky techniques, he wouldn't have been able to cultivate the eye of the ruler by chance. If he hadn't obtained the life-reversing technique in the God of War's plane, he wouldn't have been able to completely comprehend the supreme cultivation technique contained in the trajectory of the stars. The eye of the ruler and the life-reversing technique were indispensable. However, these things had appeared on Ling Zhao at the same time. Ling Zhao couldn't help but suspect that there was someone behind all of this. If there really is a mastermind behind all of this, perhaps it's that transcending grade expert? No one else should know what's in the transcending scroll. But what's that transcending grade expert's intention? To make me the second transcending grade expert? Ling Zhao thought to himself. After obtaining the secret of transcending grade expert, he understood a lot. However, he also had many doubts in his heart. These doubts were destined to be unanswered. No matter what the reason is, I can be considered to have truly stepped onto the path of all Taos as one. I want to see what kind of scenery this path of all Taos as one has. Ling Zhao thought to himself. He sat down cross-legged and began to slowly circulate the life-reversing technique. He urged the all Taos origin source in his body to fuse together. Chapter 3293. There was an uproar in the universe. If one were to look at it from the chaotic void, one would see that the universe had merged into a huge piece of chaos land. It was as though the ancient chaos land had reappeared and the universe had completed its merger. The merger and collision of the worlds naturally caused a large number of lives to suffer. Hundreds of millions of lives were lost, and the entire chaos land was covered with a layer of blood-red ominous aura. Of course, this was just the beginning. Originally, there was a world barrier in the universe. Although there were conflicts between the races, they were mainly concentrated in a small area and the casualties were not high. Now that the world barrier had disappeared, there were no more obstacles for the races in the universe to live together on the same continent. Naturally, there would be conflicts and even wars, especially for the races that had feuds, such as the demon race and the human race, the sorcerer race and the demon race. They all launched bloody wars and countless lives were lost in the wars. It was extremely tragic. Among them, the human race suffered the most. This era was called the human era. The human race became the master of the era and entered the realm of the gods, ruling over the universe. However, when the 9 emperors of the human race led the human race to rise, they fought against the other races and naturally had many enemies. This was especially so for the demon race. The demon race was the master of the previous era. After being defeated by the human race, they suffered heavy losses, especially many of their great emperors. The Sky Emperor was invincible back then and his peerless demeanor was still remembered by people. If the human race still had the 9 emperors of the human race, the other races in the universe would naturally not dare to invade the human race's territory. However, the human race was weak now and the 9 emperors of the human race had either died or disappeared. As a result, there were no great emperors in the human race. After the fusion of the myriad worlds, the God world, once the core of the Yorwild's continent, naturally became a place of beauty and beauty. It had countless famous mountains and great rivers, and its spiritual energy had skyrocketed by countless times. In fact, it had even given birth to countless deathless substances. The merging of the universe had turned the realm of the gods into a blessed land and became the new core of the Chaos Land. Naturally, it attracted the attention of countless people. In addition to the races that had feuds with the human race, the hidden ancient races also came out and began to invade the human race's territory to seize the blessed land. Among them, the demon race took the lead, wantonly slaughtering their way into the human territory. They fed on humans, causing hundreds of millions of deaths and injuries. The fusion of the multiverse was the beginning of a tragic fate for the human race. Even though the human race had the 12 immortal sacred lands and many hidden monarch clans, the number of humans they could protect was still too small. Most of the humans were suffering all kinds of calamities. Some were devoured by the demon race as food, some were sold as slaves to other races, and some were used as cauldrons or pets for the entertainment of important figures. It was incomparably miserable. The 12 immortal sacred grounds and the hidden monarch clans could barely fend for themselves. Even though they had a deep foundation and many experts, it was still difficult for them to fend off the attacks of the 10,000 races. Soon, more than half of the human territory had fallen. Moreover, there was a lot of news coming from the other major races. It seemed like there were Emperor Realm experts awakening from their slumber. Extreme Emperor aura shrouded the entire area, and their auras were terrifying to the extreme. For the human race, this news was one disaster after another. Heavens! Are our human race going back to the tragic period of the ancient era? Who is going to save our human race? 9 emperors of the human race, please save your people. When will the 10th emperor of the human race appear in our human race? Who will lead us to rise again and expel those hateful invaders? In the human territory, countless people cried and cried out, hoping for a savior to appear and save the entire human race. The human race has always been the food of the 10,000 races. We were lucky to have a heavenly emperor back then. Does he really think he's the lord of the era? That's right. The human race is weak and unworthy to occupy a blessed land like the divine realm. Since ancient times, the treasures of heaven and earth belong to those who are capable. Those who are not strong enough can only die. The weak don't deserve to live. The demon race will rule the world in this era and become the master of the entire untainted land. The immeasurable calamity has arrived. The sorcerer race can finally rule the world. The experts of the 10,000 races sneered. They rushed into the human territory without hesitation, slaughtering the humans, seizing the blessed land, and plundering the treasures of heaven and earth. At this moment, a force called the Heavenly Court rose in the human territory. No one knew where the Heavenly Court came from, but most of the experts in the Heavenly Court were from the human race. They worshipped the Emperor of the Faith. 36 emperors, more than 5,000 saint kings, and an army of 1,000,000 saints under their command marched into the human territory. As soon as the Heavenly Court appeared, they directly uprooted the 12 ancient cities of the demon race, killed 12 emperors of the demon race, and countless saints of the demon race. They entered the human territory with an incomparably powerful status and instantly shocked the 10,000 races in the heavens. It was said that there was a peerless demon lord among the demon race. His strength was unfathomable. He had once slaughtered several emperors of the human race. He was ferocious and wanted to kill his way into the heavenly court to take revenge. However, the Emperor of the Faith only threw a punch and killed the peerless demon lord directly. In an instant, the world was in an uproar. Who is that Emperor of the Faith? He killed a peerless demon lord with a punch. Could he be a great emperor? I don't think so. There are no great emperors in the human race. That Emperor of the Faith might be an ancient peerless emperor who has mastered powerful killing techniques. That's why he could kill the peerless demon lord with a punch. No matter what, that Emperor of the Faith is extremely powerful. We can't provoke him. Tell our people not to be enemies with the heavenly court. Just go and occupy other areas. That's right. The demon race will definitely not let this go. You have to know that the undying demon emperor, original demon emperor, and blood prison demon emperor of the demon race have awakened. As long as the demon emperors attack, the heavenly court will collapse in an instant. Many experts of the foreign race were shocked and doubtful. They were secretly guessing the origin of the Emperor of the Faith, but no one knew the true identity of the Emperor of the Faith. In the end, they all chose to wait and see. With the Lingshao mountain range as the core, the heavenly court gradually spread in all directions. Its power expanded rapidly. Countless humans saw the heavenly court as the hope of the human race. They all fled to the heavenly court's territory, hoping to be protected by the heavenly court. What was shocking was that the War God Temple and Taishang Dao Palace of the 12 Immortal Sacred Grounds had announced that they would join the heavenly court at the same time. One had to know that the War God Temple and Taishang Dao Palace were immortal sacred grounds. They had powerful extreme Dao Emperor weapons behind them. These extreme Dao Emperor weapons all had weapon spirits. If they were fully awakened, they would be able to unleash power comparable to a great emperor. This was where their power lay. As long as a great emperor did not appear, it was almost impossible to destroy the 12 immortal sacred grounds. However, the War God Temple and Taishang Dao Palace's choice was very thought-provoking. However, with the addition of the 2 immortal sacred grounds, the heavenly court's power expanded rapidly. The heavenly court issued a decree, erecting a statue of the Emperor of the Faith in their territory. As long as they sincerely kowtowed and believed in the Emperor of the Faith, they would be protected by the heavenly court. For a time, the heavenly court was in the limelight in the entire Eldritch continent. Within the heavenly court, the Eternal Emperor Road has ended. I can feel that my real body has obtained the secret of transcendence. I'm afraid the Eldritch continent will be even more chaotic from now on. Faith Lingshao sat cross-legged in the boundless faith cloud sea. He was surrounded by a dazzling golden glow and a dense mist. He looked even more majestic and mysterious. Before him were 2 peerlessly beautiful women. Their appearances were exceptionally beautiful and refined. However, at this moment, worry was present in their eyes. They were Jinsei and Shuiwei. My husband is now in seclusion in the Eternal Emperor Road. I don't know when he'll come out. Isn't our heavenly court's actions a little too big at this time? Jinsei asked worriedly. That's right. Now that the Eldritch continent is in chaos, there are extreme Dao Emperor auras among the powerful races awakening. I'm afraid the great emperors are about to awaken. If the great emperors attack, how will the heavenly court defend against them? Shuiwei nodded. Faith Lingshao smiled faintly in the face of Jinsei and Shuiwei's worries. If we don't take advantage of the fact that the great emperors of the various races have yet to fully awaken, how will the heavenly court be able to grow stronger? If this continues, the human race will be massacred by the myriad races. Those immortal sacred lands and hidden emperor clans are all minding their own business, ignoring the life and death of the human race. Even if they don't care, we can't just ignore them, right? Moreover, with the power of faith provided by the billions of humans, my strength will only grow stronger. When the time comes, even if I face a great emperor, I'll have the strength to fight, or even win. It's not that I don't understand what you're saying, but I always feel that we're dancing on the tip of a knife. Not to mention the other races, I'm afraid the demon race won't let this matter go so easily. Jinsei smiled bitterly. The demon race is the mortal enemy of the human race. There will be a war between us and the demon race. Now, I really want to explore the demon race's background and see what kind of foundation they have. Even the heavenly emperor died in their hands. If I can know the details of the demon race, this lord will have more confidence after coming out of seclusion. Faith Lingshao said slowly. His entire body exuded a divine radiance. His eyes were golden and resplendent, as if there were countless thoughts vibrating in them. He could calculate billions of times in an instant. He used the power of faith to capture the vitality of the immeasurable eons of calamity in this chaotic situation. Although the heavenly court was strong and caused a great commotion in the eyes of many, this was all part of Faith Lingshao's meticulous plan. Jinsei and Shuiwei were worried, but they had faith in Faith Lingshao. Seeing his confidence, they didn't say anything more. As for you two, you must pay attention to your safety. Don't leave the heavenly court during this time. I have a premonition that because I have obtained the secret of transcendence, those peerless geniuses and monstrous geniuses of various races will not give up. They are no match for me, so it is very likely that they will choose to capture the people I care about and force me to submit. Faith Lingxiao said slowly. We understand. Jin Se and Shui Wei's hearts trembled and they nodded. The two of them held extraordinary status in the heavenly court. After receiving Faith Lingxiao's warning, they were extremely vigilant. They protected Lingxiao's parents, friends, and even some people from the War God Hall and Taishangdao Palace. The Yorwild's continent was currently in a state of chaos. The immeasurable tribulation was imminent, and everyone could feel the pressure of the impending calamity. Jin Se and Shui Wei understood that Faith Lingxiao was the key to the heavenly court's success. They wouldn't allow themselves to become his weakness. The best way to make Lingxiao have no weaknesses and become invincible was to protect himself. Following that, the heavenly court continued to wage war everywhere, expanding its territory and waging war against the myriad races. They seized large swathes of territory and protected countless humans. As the heavenly court grew stronger and stronger, Jin Se and Shui Wei became more reclusive and secluded, hiding in the deepest parts of the heavenly court. In a vast expanse of land billions of li away from the human domain, the colossal longevity tower shone with resplendent light as it hovered in the sky, enveloping the entire immortal plane. Although the immortal plane had inevitably become a part of the Yorwild's continent, the longevity tower, a flawless chaos treasure, kept the immortal plane peaceful. Moreover, the longevity tower was constantly devouring the Yorwild's continent's deathless substances and fusing them with the immortal plane, making the immortal plane no weaker than the God world. In fact, it might even surpass it. Meanwhile, the ninth prince Hong Tian had returned to the immortal plane. His face was extremely gloomy, and his eyes were filled with monstrous anger and killing intent. After leaving the dark plane, he'd heard about the Transcendence Scroll from the other trial takers. It turned out that the Transcendence Scroll prevented everyone from entering. Only those who'd embarked on the path of 10,000 Daos as one could enter the Transcendence Scroll. When he heard that, Hong Tian nearly fainted, his heart filled with regret. At the same time, his hatred for Faith Lingxiao grew. It was Lingxiao who stole the secret of transcendence that belonged to him. Hong Tian directly went to the deepest part of the immortal plane's forbidden area. Endless immortal light rose there, as if it was an incomparably mysterious world. There, a figure as dazzling as the sun sat cross-legged, exuding a vast and unparalleled emperor's aura. He was extremely powerful. Imperial Father, the secret of transcendence has fallen into Lingxiao's hands. Hong Tian bowed deeply towards the figure, then recounted what happened in the Eternal Emperor's Road. That figure was the Immortal Emperor. He was the current ruler of the Immortal Plane, known as the most talented Supreme Immortal Emperor in the Immortal Plane's history. As you said, it seems our guess is correct. The so-called secret of transcendence should be the unification of 10,000 Daos as one. What's recorded in the Transcendence Scroll should be the method to truly unite 10,000 Daos as one. The Immortal Emperor said slowly. His voice was incomparably calm, causing the surrounding heaven and earth to resonate. It contained a mysterious power of the Grand Tao. Moreover, Hong Tian could hear that his imperial father, who had been incomparably calm, had some ripples in his voice when he heard about the Transcendence Scroll. It was clear that even the Immortal Emperor wasn't as calm as he appeared to be when faced with the secret of transcendence. That's right. The secret of transcendence should be the unification of 10,000 Daos as one, but the true method should be in the Transcendence Scroll. It must have fallen into Lingxiao's hands now. It's mine, no one can take it away from me. I must make him hand it over. A cold light flashed in Hong Tian's eyes, containing an extremely dense killing intent. Chapter 3294. Unification of 10,000 Daos? Unfortunately, it's useless against a great emperor. What do you want to do? Ling Xiao is still in the Eternal Emperor Road. When he comes out, he might have the battle strength of a great emperor. The Celestial Emperor said slowly with a hint of emotion in his voice. Although he was a great emperor, he felt that his path forward was cut off at his current cultivation level. It was as if he had stepped onto the peak, but in fact he was like a rootless duckweed. How could he not want to transcend? However, the path of transcendence was too difficult. Unification of 10,000 Daos was not something a great emperor could achieve. That's right. I have never underestimated him. In the Eternal Emperor Road, although he forcibly shattered the source of 10,000 Daos and merged them into one, it gave him an incomparably heaven-defying battle strength. Even Sakura was killed by him. Therefore, I have no doubt that if he really merged 10,000 Daos, he will have the battle strength of a great emperor. He might even be able to kill a great emperor. Hong Tian said with a burning gaze, his eyes filled with intense jealousy. But he hasn't come out of seclusion yet, so I still have a chance. Father, I want you to attack the human territory and capture all the people Ling Xiao cares about. When he comes out of seclusion, force him to submit. Hong Tian revealed his true purpose. He was indeed no match for Ling Xiao. However, he was determined to get the secret of transcendence in Ling Xiao's hands. If he wanted to force Ling Xiao to submit, he had to grab hold of Ling Xiao's weakness. Only the people Ling Xiao cared about were Ling Xiao's weakness. Capture all the people Ling Xiao cares about? Do you think that with his current cultivation level, he will be burdened by worldly emotions when he is about to reach the peak? The Celestial Emperor said indifferently. Imperial Father, Ling Xiao is different. I can feel that he's a loyal and righteous person. I heard that he has 2 wives, parents, and a daughter with the chaotic body. I believe that if we capture all of them, Ling Xiao will submit. Hong Tian said with a sneer. Daughter with the chaotic body? You mean his daughter has the chaotic body? The Celestial Emperor's body trembled. Suddenly, his eyes flashed with incomparable sharpness. That's right, it is the chaotic body. Father, is there a problem? Hong Tian asked curiously. The heavens are truly merciful. Who would have thought that the innate chaotic body would be born in the immeasurable calamity? As long as I have the innate chaotic body, I will be able to combine all Daos into one and step onto the path of transcendence. The Immortal Emperor laughed heartily, his eyes filled with incomparably resplendent light. Rumble! The Immortal Emperor stood up amidst the boundless immortal light. His aura was unfathomable. Majestic Emperor might erupted from him, as though it could destroy the world. His aura was terrifying to the extreme. Even though Hong Tian was powerful and had the combat strength of a great emperor, he still felt insignificant in front of an immortal emperor. Just how strong was Imperial Father? Hong Tian's heart was filled with doubt and shock at the same time. The innate chaotic body allowed a great emperor to embark on the path of unification? This was a shocking secret. Father, if the innate chaotic body really allows a great emperor to achieve the unification of Daos, the other great emperors won't let it go. Especially the demons. Although Ling Xiao's daughter's innate chaotic body is a secret and very few people know about it, the demons definitely know. Hong Tian said slowly with a hint of sharpness in his eyes. You're right. The demons have been invading the God realm for a long time and have countless spies. Now that they know about the innate chaotic body, the 3 old demons won't be able to sit still. Without further ado, we'll send our troops to invade the human territory. This time, we must capture all of Ling Xiao's relatives in one fell swoop. The Immortal Emperor said coldly. Yes. Hong Tian nodded respectfully. He sneered in his heart. If it wasn't for the innate chaotic body, his father wouldn't have taken action so easily, right? After all, now that the immeasurable calamity had begun, the great emperors of various races were beginning to recover. It was very likely that a war between great emperors would break out soon. However, once a great emperor took action, the other great emperors would know about his true strength, and the future would be fraught with grim possibilities. The best way was to not make a move when the enemy didn't make a move. But now, the Immortal Emperor could no longer sit still because of the innate chaotic body. If Imperial Father can obtain the innate chaotic body, the unification of Daos, and embark on the path of transcendence, it's a good thing. I can't let the slumbering great ancestors know about this, or Imperial Father and I won't be able to transcend. Hong Tian thought to himself. In the eternal immortal dynasty, a piece of news exploded among the immortals. His Majesty the Immortal Emperor had issued a decree to summon an army of immortals to invade the God realm and destroy the heavenly court. This news shook the entire immortal world. Ever since the worlds had merged into the Eldritch continent, the humans of the God realm had become highly sought after. Some of the immortals' experts had also gone to the God realm to occupy their paradises. But as the ruler of the immortal world, the eternal immortal dynasty had been watching quietly. Now, the eternal immortal dynasty was going to personally invade the human territory. Were they preparing to destroy the human race? At the same time, the Elder Council of the Demon Realm had issued an order for the 10 sects to form an alliance and invade the human territory. They were going to uproot the heavenly court, who had dared to offend the demon realm. As soon as these two pieces of news came out, the entire Eldritch continent began to shake. The Eldritch continent was now home to tens of thousands of races. Without the world barrier, the various races continued to wage war against each other. But on the whole, they were still fighting on a small scale. The actions of the immortals and demons seemed to be directed towards the extermination of the human race. In the Eldritch continent, the immortals and demons were publicly acknowledged as the strongest. The immortals were the first epic lord and had lasted for 108 eras. Although they lived in seclusion in the immortal realm most of the time, their foundation was so deep that no one knew just how strong they were. After all, the number of great emperors born in the immortals over the past 108 eras was terrifying. Although most of the great emperors were unable to survive the Great Tribulation and would die in it, there were still many who survived. In the past 108 eras, the demons had reached the peak several times and become epic lords. The previous epic of the human race had been the Demon Epic. During the Demon Epic, the 10 great demon emperors had dominated the heavens. Their demonic might had been so vast that all races trembled in fear. They had all respectfully acknowledged the demons as their masters. At that time, the human race was in a miserable state and had become the food of the demons. It was only when the Sky Emperor had appeared and killed a few great demon emperors. He had led the human race to defeat the demons and started the human epic, that the demons had restrained themselves. However, the blood feud between the demons and humans had been formed. Especially after the 9 emperors of the human race had fallen and disappeared, the demons had continued to invade the divine realm. Now that the 10 sects of the demon realm had formed an alliance, no one doubted that the demons wanted to destroy the human race completely. The human race is going to be in trouble. The 10 sects of the demon realm are extremely powerful. I'm afraid they are even more powerful than the 12 immortal sanctuaries of the divine realm. That's right. Especially the heavenly court, they have been stirring up trouble recently. The immortals and demons have started to target them. I heard that the blood prison demon emperor, one of the 3 emperors of the demon realm, has awakened. This time, the blood prison demon emperor might appear too. What? The blood prison demon emperor who was severely injured by the Sky Emperor? If he kills his way into the human territory, I'm afraid no one in the human race would be able to defeat him. Can the human race survive this calamity? The elites of all the races in the universe were discussing fervently. Although they did not take advantage of the situation and follow the immortals and demons to invade the human territory, they were watching coldly from the sidelines. Everyone in the human race was worried as well. A few of the 12 immortal sacred grounds had already been destroyed by Ling Xiao. The remaining elites of the sacred grounds had been closing their doors all these years, as if they were unwilling to be tainted by karma. It was the same for the hidden ancient clans. They only protected a portion of the human race and turned a blind eye to the fate of the majority of the human race, allowing them to be abused by the other races. It was only until the appearance of the heavenly court that the situation of the billions of humans improved. Now, the heavenly court was targeted by both the immortals and demons. Damn it! Those bastards from the heavenly court, of all people, why did they have to offend the immortals and demons? I'm afraid the heavenly court is going to be uprooted. Whether the heavenly court dies or not has nothing to do with us. I'm just afraid the immortals and demons will vent their anger on us. What should we do then? I've said it before, we have to endure humiliation and not offend the immortals and demons. We have to measure the resources of the human race and win the favor of the other races. When the 10th emperor appears in the human race, all the dangers will naturally be resolved. Those people from the heavenly court deserve to die. What should we do? Why don't we send someone to contact the immortals and demons and ask them what we can do for them to let us go? That's right. We can help them secretly and uproot them, as long as they don't do anything to us. We have to endure humiliation for the future of the human race. In a secret place, the upper echelons of some immortal sacred grounds and hidden ancient clans gathered for a meeting. They were all worried that they would be implicated. They had even decided to sacrifice the entire heavenly court in exchange for the peace of the human race. The immortal race and the demon race were too strong. They even had great emperor realm experts. They couldn't even muster the slightest thought of resisting. In the end, they even decided to send experts to secretly contact the immortals and demons. The immortals and demons were naturally happy to do so. The immortals and demons had a clear goal this time, which was to capture all of Ling Zhao's friends and family and target the heavenly court. The main reason was that Ling Zhao's friends and family were hidden in the heavenly court. Therefore, the immortals and demons were determined to destroy the heavenly court and capture all of Ling Zhao's friends and family to threaten Ling Zhao. The heavenly court was besieged by the immortals and demons, but they did not panic at all. Under the leadership of the emperor, they began to fight back. The immortals and demons were shocked when the battle started. They did not expect the heavenly court to be so powerful. They had an army of 1,000,000 saints under their command, and all of them had mastered killing formations. They were extremely powerful. The 36 emperors under the emperor of the heavenly court guarded the 36 ancient cities of the heavenly court. They led many elites and fought back tenaciously. In the entire heavenly court, all the human beings believed in the emperor and provided him with an endless stream of power of faith. In the void, the golden power of faith surged like a sea of clouds. Under the support of the power of faith, the heavenly court's army could erupt with battle strength several times, or even dozens of times. This discovery stunned both the immortals and demons. They all felt a sense of crisis. The heavenly court's strength was expanding too quickly. If this continued, wouldn't the heavenly court catch up with the immortals and demons? The immortals and demons finally stopped probing and launched a large-scale attack. The Ling Zhao mountain range was the core of the heavenly court. The heavenly court was shrouded in the golden power of faith. Mist rose and auspicious air filled the air. It looked like a myriad of multicolored lights, holy and pure. The emperor of the faith sat cross-legged in the endless sea of clouds. His body was imposing, and his aura was boundless. Every powerhouse in the heavenly court felt a sense of fanatical worship when they saw him. This was the invincible emperor of their faith. After so many years of conquering the heavens, the emperor of their faith had never disappointed them. Even when the immortals and demons joined forces to attack this time, the army of the heavenly court had long become fanatics of the emperor. They didn't have the slightest fear. They wouldn't even frown if they had to die for their master. Emperor, as you expected, the immortals and demons are far stronger than us. I'm afraid the 36 ancient cities won't be able to hold on for long before they completely fall. Emperor Burning Heaven knelt in front of Ling Zhao and said seriously, "No matter. Our foundation is here. This is the place where we fight the immortals and demons. How is the migration of the humans?" Ling Zhao said faintly, "Emperor, as per your orders, we have all moved to the heavenly prison realm." Emperor Burning Heaven replied, "Very good. Order the guardians of the 36 ancient cities to retreat to the Ling Zhao mountain range and lead the army of the immortals and demons here. Although they are powerful, the great emperors of the two races won't make a move until the critical moment. When they come here, I will give them a big surprise." Ling Zhao smiled faintly. His eyes were bright and mysterious, as if he could see through the endless void and see the location of the immortals and demons. Yes. Emperor Burning Heaven trembled all over and respectfully turned around to leave. Ling Zhao's words gave him endless confidence. As expected of the Emperor of Faith, he never let them down. Even when facing the army of the immortals and demons, he might even have to face the great emperors of the two races. But the Emperor of Faith was still so majestic and powerful. Could it be that the Emperor of Faith already has the strength of a great emperor? At the thought of this, Emperor Burning Heaven was so excited that his entire body trembled. His eyes were filled with fanatical worship, and he was filled with endless confidence for this battle. Chapter 3295. Heavenly Court. 36 emperors led the powerful army of the Heavenly Court, fighting and retreating. They had already returned to the Heavenly Court. Their strength was extremely strong. In the territory of the Heavenly Court, they were supported by the power of faith, which allowed them to unleash double their combat strength. At the beginning of the war, due to the contempt of the Immortal Clan and the Devil Clan, the Heavenly Court army had caused many casualties to the allied forces of the Immortal Clan and the Devil Clan. Later, the Immortal Clan and the Devil Clan were enraged and sent out a large number of experts to forcefully break the formation. Only then did they stabilize the situation. In particular, the governor of the Immortal Clan army was the 9th Prince Hong Tian. His strength was superb, and no one in the Heavenly Court army was his match. If not for the rescue of the Emperor of Faith several times, many of the Immortal Clan experts of the Heavenly Court would have died in Hong Tian's hands. The governor of the Devil Clan army was called Mo Xingtian. Legend had it that he was the #1 general under the Blood Prison Devil Emperor. He was a peerless immortal emperor with monstrous strength. The greatest casualty of the Heavenly Court army was caused by Mo Xingtian. Mo Xingtian's ferocious might was monstrous. With his strong combat strength, he forcibly shattered an ancient city. Not only did he kill the guardian of the ancient city with a punch, but he also killed the army of 100,000 saints and devoured their flesh and blood. Even the Emperor of Faith didn't have time to lend a hand. Under the leadership of Hong Tian and Mo Xingtian, the armies of the Immortal Clan and the Devil Clan were unstoppable. They directly killed their way to the Lingshao mountain range. The army of 1 million Immortal Clan and 1 million Devil Clan soldiers were all experts above the Saint Realm. Their strength was incomparably terrifying. They weren't any weaker than the Heavenly Court army. In fact, they had more experts. This time, the Immortal Clan and the Devil Clan each sent out hundreds of Immortal Clan experts. Every one of them was a powerful elite who had experienced countless life and death battles. They followed the two governors and arrived in front of the Heavenly Court. Above the Lingshao mountain range, the vast power of faith was steaming like a sea of clouds. It also manifested all kinds of mysterious phenomena. There were prehistoric beasts slaughtering each other, chaos fiend gods being born, the birth and destruction of the heavens and myriad worlds, and the evolution of billions of living beings. It looked like a mysterious world. The Emperor of Faith was sitting cross-legged in the clouds. He was 10,000 feet tall and his body was shining with golden light. He looked like a primal chaos fiend god, exuding boundless brilliance. The army of the Heavenly Court was currently on the Lingshao mountain range. Their eyes were filled with fanatical worship, and there was no trace of fear. It was as if as long as the Emperor of their faith gave the order, they would fearlessly charge out and engage in a bloody battle with the army of immortals and demons. Hong Tian's eyes flickered. He could feel the Emperor's aura permeating around the Lingshao mountain range. Runes were rising. There was an extremely powerful supreme imperial array. If they were to charge in like this, the Emperor formation would activate and their million-strong army would be buried in the Emperor formation. The source of the Emperor array's power was the vast Faith Cloud Sea, or rather, the Faith Emperor. The Emperor of Faith was the most powerful person in the entire Heavenly Court. He was also the source of the Heavenly Court's power. As long as he killed the Emperor of Faith, the entire Heavenly Court would naturally collapse. You are the Emperor of Faith? Even now, are you still trying to be mysterious? Hong Tian stared at the Emperor of Faith and said indifferently. The Emperor of Faith in front of him gave him a very strange feeling. Although the power of faith was vast, the Emperor of Faith seemed to be only an emperor. However, he couldn't see the Emperor's face clearly. Vaguely, the Emperor of Faith gave him a very familiar feeling, but also a very dangerous one. Hong Tian, I heard you were defeated by Ling Xiao on the Eternal Emperor path and fled in a panic. How dare you offend my heavenly court today? Do you want me to kill you in Ling Xiao's place? The Emperor of Faith's indifferent voice sounded, but it echoed like thunder in the ears of every immortal and demon powerhouse. It was incomparably clear. Hong Tian's face turned cold. This was the greatest humiliation of his life, and also the only defeat he'd suffered. The Emperor of Faith must have heard the news from the returning trial takers. Do you think you're a great emperor? Even if you are, you must die today. Surrender at once if you know what's good for you. Otherwise, when I break through the Lingxiao mountain range, the entire heavenly court will be slaughtered. Hong Tian said coldly, his eyes full of cold, killing intent. What bullshit, Emperor of Faith? You're just a clown who cultivates the power of faith. Do you really think the power of faith can make you fearless? If you don't want to die, immediately hand over Lingxiao's family, and I can spare your life. Emo Xingtian sneered. In his palm was a blood-red giant axe, exuding a vast extreme emperor's aura. It was an incomparably powerful extreme emperor weapon, and its cold, killing intent locked the Emperor of Faith in him. Sure enough, you're also here for Ling Xiao's family. Hong Tian's heart turned cold, and he glanced at Emo Xingtian indifferently. It seemed that after dealing with the heavenly court, he would have to deal with these demons as well. He just didn't know which demon emperor was hiding in the demon army. Did you come all the way here just to say such nonsense? If you want to fight, then go ahead. But after you do, the consequences are not something you can bear. Don't think that you can be fearless with a great emperor hiding in the dark. In my heavenly court, even great emperors have to submit. Ling Xiao said indifferently, his tone extremely calm. Arrogant. Audacious. Hong Tian and Emo Xingtian's eyes flashed with a chilling light as they coldly roared. Great emperors can't be humiliated. Do you really think that I can't kill you? There's no need for great emperors to take action. Today I'll kill you. Killing intent boiled in Emo Xingtian's eyes as he took a step forward, and his entire body swelled up in the void. Rumble. Endless demonic light rose, and he instantly grew to a size of 10,000 feet. Incomparably terrifying energy fluctuations radiated from his body, making him look like a chaos demon god, with his demonic might overflowing into the heavens. The blood-red axe in his hand instantly turned into a blood-red stream of light, and the aura it emitted was terrifying to the extreme. As if the axe could split the heavens and earth, it chopped down towards Ling Xiao. The void violently trembled. After the fusion of the myriad worlds, the space in the desolate continent had become exceedingly sturdy. Even Emperor Realm experts would find it extremely hard to shake the power of space. As Emo Xingtian's axe descended, it had nearly split the space apart. From this, one could see how terrifying that axe was. Facing Emo Xingtian's axe, Ling Xiao's expression remained calm and indifferent. Gently patting out with his palm, the palm imprint appeared ethereal and mysterious, as if it encompassed the endless void. Bang! The heavens and earth shook as the gigantic axe light exploded apart. Ling Xiao's palm landed on the blood-red axe, causing it to violently tremble. An unimaginable divine energy erupted from it, causing Emo Xingtian's body to violently tremble as he was sent flying back. What? Emo Xingtian's eyes abruptly narrowed. When Ling Xiao's palm descended, it felt as if the heavens and earth had been overturned, causing him to feel as if he was invincible. With his absolute strength, coupled with the Apex Emperor weapon in his hand, he was confident that he could even put up a fight against an Emperor Realm expert. Could this Emperor of Ling Xiao really be an Emperor Realm expert? The 9 emperors of the human race have already fallen. I really want to see what kind of thing you are, to actually dare to play tricks here. Killing intent surged within Emo Xingtian's eyes as demonic aura blotted the skies from his body. Boundless source energy poured into the blood-red axe, causing it to radiate with boundless apex emperor might. Appearing as if it had completely awakened, it chopped down towards Ling Xiao. The might of this axe was even more terrifying. Furthermore, in the blink of an eye, it appeared as if hundreds and thousands of axes had chopped down, causing the skies to be filled with blood-red axe shades. Akin to a blood moon, they radiated with ghastly wails and howls, wanting to completely bury Ling Xiao. Bang! Ling Xiao's expression remained calm and tranquil as he continued to sit cross-legged above the endless sea of clouds. As his palm descended, a mysterious world seemed to be contained within it. The axe shades that blotted the skies were instantly shattered apart by this palm. As the gigantic palm descended, it collided with the blood-red axe, causing incomparably intense friction sounds to ring out as sparks shot out in all directions. Without losing any of its momentum, the gigantic palm continued to envelop Emo Xingtian. Boundless heavenly demon, heaven-cleaving art. A sliver of madness surfaced within Emo Xingtian's eyes as he violently spurted out a mouthful of blood. In an instant, the blood was absorbed by the giant blood-colored axe, causing the aura of the axe to explosively increase. Incomparably swift and fierce blood-colored light beams instantly pierced through Xen Yang's palm imprint, shooting towards the vital points of Xen Yang's body. The blood-red beams of light instantly pierced through the layers of sea of clouds, shooting towards Ling Xiao's body. Resplendent rays of light radiated from Ling Xiao's body, radiating with an immortal luster. In an instant, sparks shot out in all directions. When the blood-red beams of light landed on his body, they weren't even able to leave behind a single white mark. As his palm changed, layers upon layers of gigantic waves instantly smashed against the blood-red axe, before landing on Emo Xingtian's chest. Puff! Emo Xingtian's body violently shook, appearing as if he had been struck by lightning. Spurting out blood from his mouth, an incomparably horrified expression filled his eyes. Hong Tian, you're still not going to take action? Emo Xingtian furiously roared towards the ninth prince Hong Tian. Emperor Lord of Faith, is this your true strength? You dare to proclaim yourself as the Emperor Lord before becoming an emperor? You're truly courting death. Killing intent filled Hong Tian's eyes as he sneered, before instantly taking action. A long sword radiating with resplendent immortal light appeared in his palm. Sword chi swept across the void in all directions, containing boundless emperor's might. In an instant, it enveloped the entire soaring sky mountain range. Flying immortal art, descend. Stepping on the void, Hong Tian roared out. In an instant, the immortal sword radiated with brilliance. 1 turned into 2, 2 turned into 4, 4 turned into infinity. The entire sky was filled with resplendent sword chi as it descended towards Ling Xiao. At the same time, an ancient immortal pagoda appeared in his palm, transforming into an unparalleled palm that smacked towards Ling Xiao. Longevity Seal. This was the supreme palm that Hong Tian had unleashed after fusing with the Longevity Pagoda's brand. This palm was capable of fighting against an emperor. Seeing Hong Tian take action, Emo Xingtian's eyes revealed an incomparably frenzied killing intent. Demonic chi surged around his body, causing his aura to increase by several folds. Holding the blood-red axe in his hand, he took large strides forward. Behind him, there seemed to be a terrifying primal chaos fiend god supporting him. The gigantic axe chopped down towards Ling Xiao. With Hong Tian and Emo Xingtian joining hands, the incomparably terrifying attack swept across the entire world. The aura was terrifying to the extreme, causing everyone to involuntarily tremble. Could Ling Xiao of Faith withstand the joint attack of Hong Tian and Emo Xingtian? At this moment, there were many figures with powerful auras hidden in the void surrounding the heavenly court. They were all paying attention to the battle that was unfolding before them. Hong Tian and Emo Xingtian are both peerless emperors. Even emperors who had just attained their Tao might not be a match for them. With the two of them joining hands, they could even slaughter emperors. Can that so-called Emperor Lord of Faith withstand them? It's hard to say. That Emperor Lord of Faith is too mysterious. Even now, we don't know his true identity. I suspect that he might be one of the 9 emperors of the human race. Otherwise, it's impossible for him to possess such heaven-defying combat strength. What? One of the 9 emperors of the human race? If that's really the case, I'm afraid that the human race wouldn't be annihilated so easily. Even if Hong Tian and Mo Xingtian were to join hands, it would be hard for them to obtain any benefits. That's right. Every single one of the 9 emperors of the human race is a peerless genius. In fact, they had even slaughtered other emperors before. Their strength is unprecedented. However, don't forget that this time, the Immortal Emperor and the Blood Prison Devil Emperor might also take action. Those two aren't easy to deal with. If they were to join hands, even one of the 9 emperors of the human race would be suppressed, right? Unless the Heavenly Emperor revives, only then would he be able to resolve this situation. Within the void, numerous divine senses intertwined as they discussed the outcome of this battle. However, the majority of them still felt that the heavenly court might not be able to escape this calamity this time. Your strength is pretty good. Since you want to witness my true strength, I'll grant your wish. Ling Shao of Faith, who was above the boundless sea of faith, said indifferently in the face of Hong Tian and Mo Xingtian's joint attack. He stood up from the sea of faith. Rumble. In an instant, everyone felt as though there was a supreme emperor that could suppress the 9 heavens and 10 earths, sweeping through the myriad of worlds and 8 desolations. This was an invincible aura that could rule over all living beings. With a single glance, people would feel as though they would be unable to resist the urge to prostrate themselves and kneel down before him. Suppress. Ling Shao of Faith gave an indifferent roar. In an instant, the sea of clouds that blotted the skies rose up as a resplendent golden light radiated out, transforming into a gigantic golden divine seal. It was akin to the authority of the Heavenly Emperor, ancient and mysterious. Boundless rays of light swept out, shattering all of the sword cheese that blotted the skies. The gigantic golden divine seal pressed down in a grandiose manner, colliding with Hong Tian's palm and the giant blood-colored axe at the same time. Within the golden divine seal, there was an immortal energy contained within. Millions and millions of genes of divine energy erupted at the same time, as though it contained the unyielding will and conviction of all living beings. It was much more powerful and terrifying than any treasure. Even the longevity seal started to violently tremble, before exploding apart with a bang. Unable to endure it any longer, the giant blood-colored axe flew out from Mo Xingtian's hands. Struck by the golden divine seal, Hong Tian and Mo Xingtian felt as though all of the bones in their bodies had shattered apart in an instant. Spurting out mouthfuls of blood, the two were sent flying back. In a single move, Hong Tian and Mo Xingtian were seriously injured by Ling Shao of Faith. However, a tremor shook through the bodies of everyone present, as they suddenly discovered that the boundless sea of faith seemed to have been greatly depleted. In an instant, more than half of it had disappeared, turning incomparably thin. Even the figure of Ling Shao of Faith had turned incomparably clear. Chapter 3296. What? Hong Tian and Mo Xingtian's eyes were filled with disbelief. Their joint attack was not only imbued with the imprint of the Longevity Tower, it was also imbued with the apex emperor weapon, the Crimson Axe. Even if they were facing a great emperor, they would be able to fight on par with him or even kill him. However, the strength of Faith Ling Shao was far beyond their imagination. The golden divine seal condensed from the power of faith severely injured the two of them with just one blow. The sea of faith clouds in the sky seemed to have become much thinner. Faith Ling Shao stepped on the void, his body glowing with golden light, revealing his true appearance. His entire body was emitting an immortal and mysterious aura. He didn't even look at Hong Tian and Mo Xingtian. His eyes were incomparably deep as he looked at the endless void. Blood Prison Great Emperor, Celestial Emperor, since the two of you have already arrived, Why are you still hiding in the dark? As great emperors, could it be that you want to learn from those cowardly scoundrels? Faith Ling Zhao's voice was indifferent, but it was like thunder exploding in the void. What? The blood prison Great Emperor and Celestial Emperor are really here? In the distance, the experts of the various clans who were watching the battle revealed looks of bewilderment in their eyes. After the fusion of the 10,000 worlds, the Eldritch continent was formed. Although the various races would often have the aura of great emperors awakening, the great emperors had almost never appeared in front of everyone. The battle between the 10,000 races was still limited to the experts below the great emperor realm. The great emperors didn't participate. Today, the two great emperors were going to come here and join forces to destroy the heavenly court? Everyone was incomparably shocked, and their eyes were filled with anticipation. Those were supreme great emperors, who were like divine dragons above the 9 heavens. They were hard to find. Being able to see the arrival of great emperors with their own eyes was like witnessing a legend, witnessing history. No one was willing to miss it. I didn't expect that after the fall of the 9 emperors of the human race, someone like you would appear. However, cultivating the power of faith is just to control the pavilion. Do you really think you are qualified to challenge the great emperors? At this moment, an incomparably cold voice sounded in the void. Rumble. The sky was filled with blood-red light, as if a vast sea of blood was spreading, covering the sky and the earth, emitting an incomparably terrifying blood-red pressure. In the blood-red sea, a figure with a terrifying aura flew across the sky and appeared above the soaring sky mountain range in an instant. Blood Prison Demon Emperor? You were severely injured by the Heavenly Emperor back then. And you still dare to come here. Belief Ling Zhao's eyes flashed brightly as he looked at the blood-red figure and said slowly, Heavenly Emperor? He's already dead. But I'm still alive. You're just an ant that cultivates the Tao of faith. How dare you call yourself a celestial court? You ignorant fool! The blood prison demon emperor's voice was bone-chilling, cold to the extreme. He appeared in the air above the blood sea. He looked like a tall young man in blood-red robes. His face was extremely handsome, and there was a blood-red mark between his eyebrows, which added to his demonic aura. As he stood there, a vast and mysterious emperor's might spread out, as if it could sweep through the 9 heavens and 10 earths, terrifying to the extreme. Is it really the blood prison demon emperor? In the distance, the spectators were shocked and their eyes were filled with incomparable horror. The figure above the sea of blood made them feel like ants looking at a divine dragon above the 9 heavens. They couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. The imperial emperors were better off. Although they were trembling, they could still stand there. However, the sages and even the deities had already knelt on the ground, their faces pale. This was a living legend. Every great emperor was a legend. The blood prison demon emperor had once fought with the heavenly emperor. Although he was severely injured by the heavenly emperor, it was extremely terrifying that he could survive. For an era, the great emperors were almost always in a deep sleep. News of the great emperors was rarely heard. Now that they could see a living great emperor, everyone trembled and was inexplicably excited. Although the Tao of Faith can allow you to borrow powerful strength, how much strength do you have left to fight? A faint but ethereal voice sounded. In the distance, a dazzling rainbow bridge came across the sky, surrounded by endless immortal light. It seemed to cross hundreds of millions of miles of void in an instant and spread over the Lingshao mountain range. A figure shrouded in immortal light strode over. The Celestial Emperor? Someone exclaimed, revealing the identity of the person who had just arrived. The ruler of the eternal immortal dynasty, the most powerful immortal clan expert in this era, was called the Celestial Emperor. He was the supreme existence that ruled hundreds of millions of immortal clans. Unexpectedly, the Emperor of Faith had guessed correctly. This time, there were 2 great emperors behind the Immortal Clan and Demon Clan alliance. Both the Blood Prison Demon Emperor and the Celestial Emperor were famous figures in this era. Their strength was unfathomable. Had they come together to destroy the heavenly court? Celestial Emperor, are you also here to capture Ling Xiao's family? Ling Xiao of Faith looked at the figure shrouded in immortal light and asked indifferently, "That's right. Hand over Ling Xiao's family. If you submit to me, I can spare your life." Hundreds of millions of creatures raised their hands at the same time, their eyes full of incomparable blazing light. Vast power of faith gushed out from their bodies, along with the power in their bodies, instantly rushed into the sky, gathered in the sea of faith clouds, and integrated into Ling Xiao's body. All of their strength was instantly sucked out, and they collapsed to the ground weakly. But their eyes were full of incomparable excitement. They were willing to lend their strength to the Emperor Lord. Rumble! The vast power of faith and boundless power converged into the vast sea of clouds like rivers returning to the sea, fusing with the power of faith into the sky. In the vast sea of clouds, a figure with an incomparably terrifying aura condensed. It was a golden dragon, hundreds of millions of miles long, as if it was cast in gold, exuding an immortal luster. It had 19 dragon claws and 2 horns on its head. Its aura was unfathomable, and it let out an earth-shattering dragon roar. The dragon's roar resounded through the world, causing the clouds to change and chaos to surge in the sky above the Eldritch continent. It was like the end of the world, exuding an incomparably oppressive aura. The golden dragon coiled around Ling Xiao of Faith, causing his aura to soar countless times in an instant. His eyes were sharp and bright, staring at the blood-prisoned demonic emperor and the immortal emperor with an incomparably powerful battle intent. "This is the ancestral dragon of fate. It seems that I have really underestimated you. I didn't expect your path of faith to be cultivated to such a level." The immortal emperor's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise as he said slowly, "Don't worry about it." The ancestral dragon of fate meant that Ling Xiao of Faith was supported by the power of hundreds of millions of creatures. Even if he didn't have the realm and cultivation of a great emperor, he could rely on the ancestral dragon of fate to possess the power of a great emperor. Ling Xiao of Faith was enough for them to take him seriously. Even the blood-prisoned demonic emperor and the immortal emperor felt a strong threat from Ling Xiao of Faith. Chapter 3297. P.S. Something cropped up at home yesterday, so I couldn't update. Sorry, I'll make it up today. First, I'll send 2 chapters. Next, I'll send another chapter. Trying to be mysterious. So what if you're the ancestral dragon? You're just an ant if you don't enter the Emperor realm. The blood-prisoned demon emperor sneered. His eyes were incomparably cold, and his body was covered with black demonic light. Extreme emperor aura spread out as if he wanted to suppress the ancestral dragon in front of him. The ancestral dragon is indeed nothing, but it's enough to suppress you. Faith Ling Xiao smiled indifferently, and then slammed his palm towards the blood-prisoned demon emperor. His palm print seemed to contain an infinite world. The ancestral dragon's vast and unparalleled power was integrated into the palm print, and an earth-shattering dragon roar erupted. This was the palm of fate and also the palm of faith. It had integrated the faith of billions of living beings, and it wanted Faith Ling Xiao to go against the Emperor realm. The blood-prisoned demon emperor's eyes flashed with killing intent. In his eyes, Faith Ling Xiao was just an ant. Even if he had condensed the ancestral dragon, he was just a big ant. But now, the ant wanted to defy the heavens and take the initiative to kill him. "You're courting death." The blood-prisoned demon emperor's killing intent was boiling, and endless demonic chi surged. The vast sea of blood seemed to be able to devour everything. He faced Faith Ling Xiao's palm print and blasted out a punch. Kacha! Endless bloody light shattered, and streaks of blood-colored lightning bloomed. This palm contained extreme power, containing the origin of the great path of blood. It was as if a divine light that could penetrate the heavens and the earth was pressing down, wanting to crush all life. As soon as the blood-prisoned demon emperor made his move, the surrounding people's faces changed. Their hearts couldn't help but tremble, and their eyes were filled with incomparable horror. This was the power of an unparalleled great emperor. That kind of domineering power that surpassed everything, that kind of extreme power of the great Tao, could seize one's soul as soon as he made a move, making it impossible for people to resist. It was an all-around suppression from the physical body, primordial spirit, origin, and spirit. It could be said that facing a great emperor, one would be frightened by the great emperor's aura and lose 70 to 80% of one's combat strength in an instant. The invincibility of a great emperor wasn't a joke. Faith Ling Zhao's heart, and there was no fear in his heart. In other words, he didn't know what fear was. He believed in Ling Xiao, and he believed in the Emperor Lord. He was the only true God that billions of living beings believed in, and he was also the greatest existence in the universe. If the great emperor had cultivated an invincible aura, then he had obtained the power of faith and also had the belief of invincibility. At this moment, when he attacked, his body was reinforced with the faith, determination, and killing intent of billions of living beings. This was a mentality that transcended the billions of living beings. No one could compare to Faith Ling Zhao's current state of mind. Even great emperors couldn't cause any ripples in his heart. Therefore, even in the face of the strongest person in the universe, the legend in everyone's heart, he still brazenly attacked without fear. Rumble. In the endless void, the golden palm print, which was like an ancient golden world, collided with the crimson fist print. The void in all directions vibrated violently as streaks of black lightning bolts shot up into the sky. Even the extremely sturdy space started to crack. Belief Ling Zhao's body was surrounded by clouds and mist, the wind and clouds were changing, and an incomparably terrifying airwave swept towards the Ling Xiao mountain range. If it weren't for the flawless protection of the Emperor formation in the heavenly court, the airwave would have killed countless living beings. Around the blood prison demon emperor, the sea of blood was also boiling, and the endless crimson light was shattered one after another. What? The blood prison demon emperor's eyes were filled with incomparable shock and disbelief. Faith Ling Zhao's palm print didn't look strong, but when it collided, the blood prison demon emperor felt as if billions of divine power were surging towards him, causing his arm to shake violently. That blood-red fist print was actually shattered with a loud bang. Rumble. At this moment, Faith Ling Zhao's body emitted a dazzling golden light. The ancestral dragon of destiny seemed to have merged with his arm, causing his palm to expand in an instant. It was like a golden canopy that blotted out the sky and came crashing down on the blood prison demon emperor's body. Bang! The blood prison demon emperor's body shook violently, as if he was turned into a hedgehog by billions of rays of faith light. His entire body shook violently, and he was forced to retreat. Although his great emperor body was sturdy and immortal, the rays of faith light didn't cause any harm to him and were shattered one after another. However, his arms seemed to have lost all feeling, and drops of blood fell silently, swallowed by the sea of blood. He was injured. Although the blood prison demon emperor was injured and no one noticed it, he was still repelled by Faith Ling Zhao's punch. Everyone's eyes were filled with disbelief. Everyone was stunned. This mysterious Emperor Lord of Faith actually repelled the blood prison demon emperor with one palm? How terrifying! How can he be so strong? Everyone's eyes were filled with disbelief. Who was the blood prison demon emperor? One of the three great emperors of the demon realm, he could be said to be a living legend. An era ago, he had fought with the heavenly emperor, and although he was severely injured, he survived. Today, no one doubted that after an era of recuperation, the blood prison demon emperor's injuries were not only healed, but his cultivation must have improved. Such a peerless powerhouse was repelled by Faith Ling Zhao's palm. This Emperor Lord of Faith wasn't a great emperor yet, but he had such heaven-defying combat strength. Could it be that today, he was going to create a heaven-defying feat of slaying an emperor? Everyone's heart beat violently, and they felt that their blood was about to boil. Today, they seemed to be witnessing history. Relying on the power of faith of billions of living beings, you can repel this emperor, but how many times can you exhaust the ancestral dragon of destiny? Although the blood prison demon emperor was shocked, his face was still cold, and the killing intent in his eyes was blazing. Although Faith Ling Xiao relied on the power of faith of the ancestral dragon of destiny and billions of living beings to repel him, it was still intolerable. A great emperor represented invincibility, and it meant that they could kill all living beings under the emperor realm, whether they were geniuses or ants. But now, not only was he repelled by Faith Ling Zhao's punch, but he was also injured. You're right. I can only attack 3 times, but 3 times is enough to kill you. Faith Ling Zhao said calmly. The sea of faith around him surged violently, and the aura of the ancestral dragon of destiny seemed to have weakened after this palm strike. However, his aura was getting sharper and sharper. Everyone looked at Faith Ling Zhao differently. For such a peerless figure to be able to fight with the Blood Prison Demon Emperor, even if he was defeated in the end, it was enough to be proud of. It could even spread throughout the entire Eldritch continent and become a legend in the hearts of countless people. Kill me 3 times? Very good. The Blood Prison Demon Emperor sneered, and the demonic light around him became more and more terrifying. A light flashed in his palm, and the blood-red giant axe in Mo Xingtian's hand instantly fell into his palm. Blood Prison Axe. This was his apex emperor weapon. When the Blood Prison Axe fell into the Blood Prison Demon Emperor's hand, it seemed to have awakened instantly and emitted a dazzling light. The Blood Prison Demon Emperor held the Blood Prison Axe in his hand, and his aura became even more terrifying. The cold killing intent locked onto Faith Ling Zhao. He was enraged by Faith Ling Zhao. Therefore, he did not hesitate to take out the Blood Prison Axe, wanting to kill Faith Ling Zhao. Rumble! The Blood Prison Axe emitted a dazzling light, and it rapidly expanded in the void like a huge immemorial divine mountain, slashing toward Faith Ling Zhao. Vast Apex Emperor aura erupted. The Blood Prison Demon Emperor, who held the Blood Prison Axe, looked like an ancient chaos fiend god, exuding an aura that made everyone tremble in fear. The Imperial Emperors were trembling all over. They had no doubt that if they were the ones facing the Blood Prison Devil Emperor at this moment, they would have died before the Blood Prison Axe could even land on them. One could imagine how much pressure Faith Ling Zhao was facing now. Facing the threat of the Blood Prison Demon Emperor and the Blood Prison Axe, Faith Ling Zhao's expression did not change. The power of faith around him still rose, and he blasted out a palm. Faith Ling Zhao's palm print was dazzling like a golden immortal divine mountain. In an instant, it collided with the blood-red giant axe. The blood-red giant axe's aura was incomparably terrifying, as if it could destroy everything. The axe light directly tore the palm print, and then slashed toward Faith Ling Zhao's head. Gotcha! Faith Ling Zhao seemed to be unable to do anything to the Blood Prison Axe, and he was cut in half by the Blood Prison Axe. Boom! Faith Ling Zhao's huge body directly exploded in the void, turning into a dazzling golden light. No, this is not his real body. A sharp light flashed in the Blood Prison Demon Emperor's eyes, revealing a look of incomparable shock. Faith Ling Zhao's palm print was very strong, and it seemed to be able to contend with him. However, when the Blood Prison Demon Emperor cut it in half, he discovered that this body did not have any primordial spirit aura at all. It was just an avatar condensed from the power of faith. But how could this be? The Blood Prison Demon Emperor was a supreme emperor, and the Blood Prison Axe was an apex emperor weapon. He had long locked onto Faith Ling Zhao, and it should be impossible for him to escape the Blood Prison Demon Emperor's detection. How did he leave behind an avatar and hide his real body? However, the Blood Prison Demon Emperor did not have time to think about it anymore. Rumble! Behind him, the vast power of faith suddenly erupted, and in an instant, it condensed into an incomparably terrifying figure. Together with the ancestral dragon of fate, it came across the sky and crashed into the Blood Prison Demon Emperor's body. The ancestral dragon of fate was hundreds of millions of miles long. Although it was condensed from the power of faith, it contained the mystery of the ancestral dragon's secret skill, as well as the faith of hundreds of millions of living beings. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was the resurrection of the Archean ancestral dragon. In addition to Faith Ling Zhao, this attack condensed endless power of faith, and on the basis of dodging the Blood Prison Demon Emperor's peerless attack, it directly hit the Blood Prison Demon Emperor's body. Even though the Blood Prison Demon Emperor's great emperor body was extremely strong, under this attack, his entire body shook violently. Like a spider web, dense cracks appeared all over his body. Blood filled the air, and the blood-prisoned demon emperor was sent flying across the sky. However, this was just the beginning. Endless divine light of faith was like a tarsal bone, and it directly penetrated the blood-prisoned demon emperor's body through the open wound. Boom! The endless divine light of faith was constantly grinding away the immortal substance in the blood-prisoned demon emperor's body, and it directly burned fiercely. This was the fire of faith of hundreds of millions of living beings. The blood-prisoned demon emperor could not destroy it at all, and his whole body seemed to have turned into a man of fire, burning fiercely. Impossible! How did you do it? How did you escape from this emperor's lock-on? The blood-prisoned demon emperor let out an incredulous roar, shaking the sky. The terrifying emperor's aura swept out, and it was incomparably terrifying. Those spectators who were slightly closer to the battle trembled violently, coughing up blood, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. How is this possible? The blood-prisoned demon emperor unleashed the ultimate attack of the blood-prison axe. Even a great emperor would find it difficult to block this attack. Not only did the Emperor of Faith block it, but he also severely injured the blood-prisoned demon emperor with one blow. The Emperor of Faith seems to have deceived the blood-prisoned demon emperor. One of his doppelgangers attracted the demon emperor of Faith, and the real body gave the blood-prisoned demon emperor a fatal blow. Everyone was discussing animatedly, and their eyes were filled with incomparable horror. They could not figure out how Faith Ling Xiao escaped from the blood-prisoned demon emperor's lock-on. Looking at the blood-prisoned demon emperor, who was shrouded in the fire of faith and whose great emperor's body was shattered, they felt as if they were in a dream, and they could not believe it. Amazing! To be able to cultivate the path of faith to such a level, it's amazing. But I'm very curious, you have consumed more than half of your faith power. Although you have severely injured the blood-prisoned demon emperor, how are you going to face me next? The Celestial Emperor smiled faintly and walked towards Faith Ling Xiao. The Celestial Emperor's body was dazzling, and his aura was incomparably ethereal. Although he was not as domineering and fierce as the blood-prisoned demon emperor, he gave Faith Ling Xiao a more threatening feeling. He did not attack just now because he wanted to let the blood-prisoned demon emperor have a taste of Faith Ling Xiao's strength. Now that the blood-prisoned demon emperor was severely injured, he decided to attack as well. Faith Ling Xiao stepped on the void, and the faith cloud sea around him had thinned out a lot. Even the ancestral dragon of destiny had become dispirited. Clearly, although he had injured the blood-prisoned demon emperor, Faith Ling Xiao had also consumed a lot of faith power. The reason he had been able to evade the blood-prisoned demon emperor's targeting was because he was not a complete living being, but rather a clone of Ling Xiao. He did not have a natal chart, so it would not be an exaggeration to say that he was a fateless one. He was formed from the power of faith, which meant that any type of faith power could manifest Faith Ling Xiao. Since he did not have a true body, how could the blood-prisoned demon emperor possibly lock onto his true body? That was why the blood-prisoned demon emperor had been so careless that he had been seriously injured. You're right. I really did consume a lot of faith power. You really are a grand emperor. If you were a peerless emperor, I would have long since slapped you to death. That said, Celestial Emperor, I'm not the one who attacked you. Faith Ling Xiao smiled faintly, his eyes as calm as ever, without the slightest hint of panic. Someone else. The Celestial Emperor's eyes flashed sharply. The human race was in a weakened state. Who could possibly stand up to him? Rumble. At this moment, a dazzling light suddenly erupted. It was as if a heavenly pillar had pierced through the heavens and the earth, vast and mysterious. In that dazzling sky pillar, a figure with terrifying chi soared across the sky. The shocking battle intent instantly locked onto the immortal emperor. Jiang Yuyang. The Celestial Emperor trembled, his eyes flashing with incomparable sharpness. Chapter 3298. The newcomer stepped on the void, wearing black battle armor and a blood-red cloak behind him. He exuded an incomparably powerful battle intent. His face was solemn and his eyes were bright. His chi and blood surged like a mysterious yellow light. The bright pillar of light behind him seemed to be able to penetrate heaven and earth. It was fierce and vast to the extreme. Jiang Yuyang. The celestial emperor said Jiang Yuyang's name. It was obvious that the two knew each other. The celestial emperor's eyes were filled with disbelief. He did not expect Jiang Yuyang to appear here. Should I call you Hong Qi or the celestial emperor? Jiang Yuyang said calmly. His voice was like thunder, grand and majestic. His aura surged and he arrived in front of the celestial emperor in an instant. Jiang Yuyang, I didn't expect you to still be alive. You were the #1 general under the celestial emperor. I thought you had fallen in the demon world. I didn't expect you to survive and cultivate the great Tao of the human emperor. The celestial emperor took a deep look at Jiang Yuyang. His eyes were full of solemnity. The celestial emperor's real name was Hong Qi. He and Jiang Yuyang were from the same era. When the celestial emperor swept through the heavens and even killed the great emperor of the demon race, he had not reached the Tao like Jiang Yuyang. However, as the prince of the celestial race, Hong Qi had fought Jiang Yuyang when he was training the heavens. The two of them were evenly matched. Later, Hong Qi became an emperor and the celestial emperor of the eternal celestial dynasty. He thought that Jiang Yuyang had died in battle with the celestial emperor. He did not expect Jiang Yuyang to still be alive. The pillar of light behind Jiang Yuyang was the great Tao of the human emperor that Jiang Yuyang had comprehended. Although the great Tao of the human emperor was not one of the 3,000 great Taos, it was the supreme great Tao that Jiang Yuyang had comprehended by fusing the destiny and faith of the human race. Jiang Yuyang had returned from 9 reincarnations. Although he had not become an emperor, he had perfected the great Tao of the human emperor. His strength was unfathomable and he had embarked on the path to protect the human race. Although Jiang Yuyang's cultivation was only at the 9th heaven of the imperial emperor realm and could be called a peerless imperial emperor, the celestial emperor felt a powerful threat from Jiang Yuyang. Why would I die when you didn't die? Fortunately, His Majesty the Heavenly Emperor saved me. Otherwise, I would have followed His Majesty the Heavenly Emperor. The immortal race has always lived in seclusion and has never cared about the affairs of the world. Now, do you want to become enemies with the human race? Jiang Yuyang said indifferently. His eyes were incomparably sharp. His whole body was like a divine sword that had been unsheathed. Senior Human Emperor, thank you for your trouble. Belief Ling Xiao nodded towards Jiang Yuyang and said with an indifferent smile. Not bad. At the very least, they were much better than those human beings who had to drag out an ignoble existence and grovel before him. Leave the immortal emperor to me. Jiang Yuyang nodded to fate's high firmament. Jiang Yuyang, although you have cultivated the great Tao of the human sovereign, you have yet to prove your Tao and become an emperor. You are not my match. Get out of my way now. I only want Ling Zhao's family. I won't make an enemy out of the human race. Otherwise, don't blame me for forsaking our friendship. The immortal emperor said indifferently. Old feelings? What past relationship do we have? As the immortal emperor, if you covet the secret of transcendence on Ling Xiao, you can wait until Ling Xiao comes out of seclusion and have a fair fight with him to seize the secret of transcendence. Now, you want to use Ling Zhao's family to threaten him. Is this the so-called immortal emperor? Jiang Yuyang said with a cold smile. It seems that you are determined to be my enemy. The immortal emperor's expression became somewhat indifferent. So what? Jiang Yuyang did not back down. His eyes were filled with a shocking battle intent. You are no match for me. Is it worth it to die here to help Ling Xiao? The immortal emperor said coldly. Who knows if we don't fight? Hong Qi, an era ago, we didn't have a clear winner. Today, let's fight to determine victory and defeat, as well as life and death. What do you think? The battle intent in Jiang Yuyang's eyes grew stronger. His blood and qi rose and his robe fluttered in the wind. Facing the immortal emperor, he chose to fight without hesitation. Since that's the case, as you wish. The immortal emperor's eyes flickered with a cold light. Rumble. Behind the immortal emperor, dazzling immortal light rose. a vast and terrifying emperor's aura erupted, suppressing Jiang Yuyang. Jiang Yuyang's blood and qi rose around him. The human emperor's great Tao ran through heaven and earth. It seemed to contain the faith of the human race, the rise and fall of the human race, and the courage of the human race. The human race had gone through countless hardships and dangers. From being the food of thousands of other races, they had risen against the heavens. Under the leadership of the 9 emperors of the human race, they had created an incomparably glorious era of the human race. There had been countless deaths, massacres, and sacrifices, but they had nurtured the unyielding faith and courage of the human race. Jiang Yuyang's human emperor's great Tao was born from the faith and courage of the human race. It was a kind of persistence and hope that dared to draw the sword against heaven and earth, daring to compete with millions of geniuses. Even if they were in a desperate situation, they would not shrink back. Therefore, even though Hong Qi had proven his Tao and become an immortal emperor, leading millions of immortals, Jiang Yuyang was not afraid at all. Instead, he was filled with battle intent. Rumble! The human emperor's great Tao collided with the emperor's aura of the immortal emperor. It was an invisible confrontation of aura. It was turbulent and violent, with hidden murderous intent. It was terrifying to the extreme. Just the confrontation of aura alone covered an area of 1,000,000 miles. The many experts who were watching the battle could not help but feel nervous. Who will win the battle between the human emperor and the immortal emperor? I think this battle is not only a battle between the human emperor and the immortal emperor, but also a battle between the fate of the human race and the immortal race. Unfortunately, the human race's foundation is still too weak, far inferior to the immortal race. Jiang Yuyang has not proven his Tao and become an emperor. How can he be a match for the immortal emperor? That's right. Although Jiang Yuyang was likely to lose this battle, this kind of spirit was still very admirable. Let me ask you, who would dare to draw their sword against the immortal emperor? Jiang Yuyang may die in this battle, but his spirit will be remembered by the human race forever. Until the next great emperor appears in the human race. I'm afraid that's not far away. Have you forgotten about Zhao Ritian, the son of the heavenly emperor? And Ling Xiao, who has obtained the secret of transcendence? Aren't the blood prison demon emperor and the immortal emperor afraid of Ling Xiao? When Ling Xiao returns to the Eldritch continent, I'm afraid there will be another bloodbath. Everyone looked at Jiang Yuyang with gazes full of admiration and admiration. In order to believe in the emperor, Jiang Yuyang was willing to stop the immortal emperor and fight with him. Regardless of the outcome, his spirit alone was enough to make everyone admire him. Fight! Jiang Yuyang's battle intent rose to the extreme, and the blood in his body seemed to be burning. A dazzling ancient sword appeared in his palm. On one side was the sun, the moon, and the stars, and on the other side was the myriad phenomena of the heavens. The sword qi swept across the void, as if it had sensed its master's monstrous battle intent, and instantly bloomed with boundless radiance. The human emperor's sword. This was Jiang Yuyang's natal treasure. Although it was only a quasi-emperor weapon now, the heavenly emperor had personally refined it for Jiang Yuyang. It was made with 9 types of extreme metals and had the potential to be promoted to an extreme emperor weapon. Naming it the human sovereign sword showed the heavenly emperor's expectations for Jiang Yuyang. Although Jiang Yuyang had yet to become a human sovereign, the human sovereign sword had been nurtured by him for an era. It had been Jiang Yuyang's natal treasure for 9 reincarnations. Once it was unsheathed, it would definitely erupt with earth-shattering power. Boom! Jiang Yuyang's sword swept across the sky, and the sword qi swept across 1,000,000 miles. The dazzling sword light was like a blazing sun, sharp to the extreme, and slashed towards the immortal emperor. This sword contained Jiang Yuyang's supreme belief. Vaguely, the crowd felt as if an extreme Tao monarch weapon had been awakened and was bursting with unparalleled power. Break! The immortal emperor's eyes were dazzling like the vast starry sky. Seeing the dazzling sword light in front of him, he let out a thunderous roar that shook the heavens and earth. He pointed his finger in the air, and the light from his finger was dazzling. Vaguely, a mysterious figure seemed to appear, making the light from his finger become indestructible and filled with the aura of slaughter and death. Immortal Emperor Lifeless Finger. This was the Supreme Emperor technique created by the Immortal Emperor. As soon as the finger light was shot out, it instantly shook the void and collided with the dazzling sword chi. Gotcha. Both the sword chi and the finger light were incomparably sharp, instantly tearing the void apart and intertwining with each other to form an incomparably terrifying storm. Whether it was the sword chi or the finger light, they both contained supreme belief and supreme origin energy of the great Tao. In the vast storm, they were annihilated at the same time. Boom! Jiang Yuyang and the Immortal Emperor shuddered at the same time, and then rushed towards each other at the same time. Both of them were surging with blood and origin energy. Although they didn't look very tall, they gave the impression that two chaotic fiend gods had collided in an instant. Bang! It was like a dazzling sun had exploded. Boundless storms swept out, as if there were endless flames falling from the 9 heavens. An incomparably dazzling and transparent barrier appeared in the sky above the Lingshao mountain range. It trembled constantly, as if it was going to shatter at any time. This was the flawless Emperor formation that was protecting the Lingshao mountain range. If it wasn't for the protection of the flawless Emperor formation, the Lingshao mountain range would have been reduced to ruins. Around the Lingshao mountain range, the areas that weren't protected by the flawless Emperor formation were trembling violently. Cracks appeared on the ground, and several towering mountains were reduced to dust in an instant. There were no living beings in the periphery of the Lingshao mountain range. Otherwise, hundreds of millions of living beings would have been reduced to dust in an instant. The battle between Jiang Yuyang and the Immortal Emperor shook everyone's body. Their blood was boiling, and their eyes were filled with incomparable excitement. This was the battle between great sovereigns that they had imagined. What surprised everyone was that Jiang Yuyang, who was known as the Human Emperor, was far stronger than a peerless sovereign emperor. He wasn't at a disadvantage when fighting against the Immortal Emperor. Gotcha. Above the sky, two figures with incomparably terrifying auras collided. In an instant, they had exchanged thousands of blows. Each blow tore the void apart, and endless turbulence surged in the void. This was the chaotic continent, an eternal world after the integration of the myriad worlds. The battle between great sovereigns was incomparably terrifying. The previous battles between great sovereigns would almost always be carried out in the void turbulence. Otherwise, even the Great Thousand World would be destroyed under the terrifying battle between great sovereigns. The world origin would also be severely damaged. Great sovereigns were known to be invincible. It wasn't something that ordinary living beings could imagine. Those below great sovereigns and those above great sovereigns were simply two different kinds of living beings. Jiang Yuyang was bathed in blood as he engaged in an incomparably intense battle with the Immortal Emperor. The momentum was terrifying to the extreme. As for the blood prison demon emperor, it wasn't easy for him to extinguish the flame of faith in his body. Although a great sovereign's life origin was close to infinite, he was able to restore his powerful great sovereign body in an instant. However, he was still severely injured by the Lingshao mountain range. Moreover, everyone saw it. This made the blood prison demon emperor's heart surge with monstrous killing intent. This was simply an extraordinary shame and humiliation. An ant that had yet to become a great sovereign had actually injured him. This was simply unimaginable. The blood prison demon emperor was an existence that had survived the great calamity of an era. He wasn't someone that ordinary great sovereigns could compare with. Yet, he was still injured by the Lingshao mountain range. Even if he knew that the Lingshao mountain range relied on external forces, the blood prison demon emperor was still furious. Those who dared to provoke a great sovereign's majesty would be killed without mercy. Very well. You have successfully angered me. Now that your strength of faith has been exhausted, prepare to suffer my wrath. The blood prison demon emperor's voice was incomparably cold, as if it came from the 9 nether hell. It made people tremble as if their souls were about to be frozen. Only the death of the Lingshao mountain range and the erasure of the heavenly court could eliminate the anger in his heart. Rumble. A sea of blood rose around the blood prison demon emperor. His aura was incomparably terrifying. A huge palm print seemed to cover the sky and the entire Lingshao mountain range. Of course, this included Lingshao mountain range. In the face of the blood prison demon emperor's rage, Lingshao mountain range's eyes were incomparably calm. There was even a trace of sympathy in his eyes when he looked at the blood prison demon emperor. Blood prison demon emperor, you still don't know that you are about to die? Since you don't want to leave, then leave your life behind. Lingshao mountain range said indifferently, his voice was incomparably calm. Reckless fool, are you still hoping that someone will come to save you? Die for me. The blood prison demon emperor's eyes were incomparably cold. The huge blood-red palm print did not have the slightest hesitation and directly suppressed Lingshao mountain range. Rumble. Lingshao mountain range and Lingshao mountain range were about to be completely suppressed by this palm. The void shook violently, the sky was filled with dazzling lightning. Endless chaotic light bloomed in the sky above Lingshao mountain range. A chaotic divine mountain that reached the heavens and the earth pressed down mightily. That divine mountain was hundreds of millions of miles high, hiding an eternal and immortal aura. It was as if any living being was like an ant in front of that divine mountain. The incomparably terrifying chaotic divine mountain collided with the blood-red palm print. In an instant, the palm print was blasted into smithereens. The chaotic divine mountain's momentum did not diminish. After destroying the palm print, it directly pressed down on the blood prison demon emperor's head and smashed him down from the sky. Kunwu Mountain, you are courting death. The blood prison demon emperor let out a roar of shock and anger. There was a kind of disbelief and deep fear in his voice. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.